Boy, that's a rockin' intro. Pretty cool.
Hello, everyone. Oh, man. Episode and a very special episode. We have a heck of a pile out here. What is going on? We have Geek Inside. Hey, Mr. Hyde. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. I'm finally here. It's been a long time.
Yeah, no, it's been a while, man. How you been?
Good.
And
Staying
we do
awake.
have a special guest tonight. Yeah. And I'm glad he could actually come. And Mr. Rod, let's see if we can get him up here. Here it is. I'll give you one way. Cameron Pasha, how you doing tonight?
I'm well, gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me on the stream.
Hello
there. Yeah, it's been a heck of a time in pop culture, and from we are all three, I guess, writers in one form or another. And I thought, why won't we just take this time and talk about what's going on in pop culture with Star Wars? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, let's get more specific. With all Star Wars is chaos, right? So, what do you specifically want to talk about?
What do I specifically want to talk about? Do you personally think there is a war going on with Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy and Favreau?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think that's pretty self-evident to anybody who's not in denial. There's been, ever since Mr. Favreau has come on board, there has been, a house divided. It is people, Ms. Kennedy has established sort of her, what I call the flying monkeys, right? Her sort of legions of people that have been executing her agenda since early days. Good to see you. There you go. Good to see your face. And, Mr. Favreau then arrived and has been attempting to bring Star Wars back to a more universal storytelling that is the original brand and which most of the audience actually wants. And so you have people that have become fanatically obsessed with their narrative, the political narrative that they've attempted to use Star Wars for, versus people that just want it to be good storytelling that's universal. And so, I mean, anyone who's denying there is a Civil War is either delusional or is someone who's actually serving the agenda of the flying monkeys, right? Because they want to pretend that everyone, including Mr. Favreau, is on with that. Yeah.
Oh, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Carry on. I had some difficulty hearing you. I don't know if you're hearing me properly. On your end, it's coming a little bit like Max Headroom, like your voice is cutting in and out.
Yeah, let me go back to the avatar. It seems to do this when I'm on camera. It must be late.
It was the same before. I mean, it's just a voice thing. I don't know if it's my computer, but these are the modern technology issues.
Yeah, a lot of people have been having trouble with StreamYard too. So,
as long as you can hear me, and hopefully I'll be able to get most of your questions.
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Do you have any questions, Inside, or?
I
know.
No, actually, I'm just I'm sitting here chilling. I think what happened with Gina Carano was a bit of it's a big disgrace.
Yeah. It was also inevitable. I mean, it was also inevitable. Gina was someone that was an authentic and free person, and she's not a corporate drone, and she refuses to play the corporate drone politics. So in an environment like Disney, and I've worked at Disney. I was the head writer for the Tron animated series, so I know Disney pretty well. And it is when I got that job, my lawyer called me and said, "Hey, you're about to start work at Disney. I just want you to understand, of all the studios in Hollywood, this is the most Machiavellian. He called me to say that. He said you have to be careful when you go there, and I soon discovered he was he was right about that. And so that's that's the truth of it. And she doesn't play those games. She's a champion. She's a fighter, and it was inevitable that a day would come when they would attempt to oust her, and they would use the one thing that Hollywood sees as a red line. And when he references to World War II, which Hollywood will use as an emotional red line to do what it needs to do.
But I think
Seems kind of
going forward with Disney, if they're going to hire people, they should have a checklist. Are you a free thinker? Say yes, then you're automatically a red flag and you're not going to get hired.
Well, I mean, but that's understood in general in Hollywood. And so I think the fact that that Gina wasn't playing along early on, and she wouldn't play along with the Twitter mob when they started trying to force her to put stupid pronouns in her bio and stuff like that, that was a red flag for them, because they presume everyone is playing along, and they're shocked when someone isn't. And so they began to get nervous. Well, what's happening here? Why is she sticking her head out of the sand? I mean, nobody else is doing that, So the moment she became her own person, it shouldn't have shocked them. She's always been her own person, but everyone assumes that the glitter of Hollywood is more important than your authenticity, and so they're shocked when you be yourself like her.
100%.
yeah.
It's definitely an eye opening, I think, now for a lot of people. Starting to see that that red line that's happening right now.
Yeah, but it's also a moment of change, because I think Ms. Carano's leaving has caused shockwaves within Disney. And even though the official narrative still seems to be, Mr. Bob Chapek and is all 100% behind Kathleen Kennedy. The one thing you learn in Hollywood is everything the opposite of what it appears to be. And so the very fact that he's out there defending her on investor calls or whatever is exactly the opposite of what I'm sure is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. And it seems to be a lot of this same stuff this is affecting a whole lot of other friends as well, with this whole cancellation stuff. Have
Yeah, I mean, well, cancel culture. Cancel culture, I've said this on other conversations, but cancel culture had been on its way out, or at least the woke culture had been on its way out in Hollywood by the beginning of last year, before the events of last year. The industry had figured out that sort of the extreme leftist social narrative wasn't financially profitable, and that narrative had been pushed due to political events in the United States. And most people in Hollywood don't actually think like that. They are, they're all limousine liberals, right? They're all people that literally in their limousines saying all the right stuff, but privately, they are like, the Monopoly man with a monocle, right? I mean, that's what they are. I mean, so they had to, but they were, in order to fit a certain narrative after Mr. Trump was elected, they pushed that point, and then they discovered it wasn't a profitable point to push, even though it allowed them to fit in at socially at cocktail parties in Hollywood. It wasn't making them money. And so by the beginning of 2020, the industry had begun to swing away. I was hearing my friends who were working at some of these projects were saying, we're getting instructions from Disney that, it's a for-profit company, and void the woke politics and just get back to making us money now. But then the events of 2020 happened. The events of, it was a confusing whammy, because on one level, the lockdowns happened, which hit Disney harder than all the studios, because they lost their theme ships, they lost everything, right? And so, so those events hit them one way, but another level was over the summer. You had the rioting and the Antifa and all that stuff that happened that literally burned down parts of LA, and then they became afraid of that. So now on one level, they were financially desperately hurting, and they knew they had to make profitable projects and products. And on the level, they became absolutely terrified of extremist leftist mobs literally burning down the building. And so when Mr. Biden assumed office, they sort of have gone along with this sort of sullen, we're going to go ahead and keep publicly doing this woke stuff, even though we know it's not profitable. We know it's not what the audience wants. We just don't want one of these guys showing up and protesting in front of our building and setting it on fire. That's the mindset right now.
And I I don't have any idea what makes me think we're actually going to go that far.
It doesn't matter about whether
We're mad at what happened.
Yeah. It doesn't have to seem realistic to anybody.
We're mad at what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how the industry. I mean, the industry lives in a bubble and it's an echo chamber, and so whatever people are afraid of, even if it's not realistic, they're stuck in a bubble. I mean, remember the industry supported this extreme leftist social narrative that they even didn't really believe in because they thought in our bubble of cocktail parties that everyone wanted to hear that because everyone hated Mr. Trump so much, right? And so they thought that was the narrative that would take down Mr. Trump, and so that wasn't a realistic understanding of the country and of the culture. But that's the bubble, right? So,
yep, it is what it is, and a heck of an echo. To them, it really is a small world after all.
It is indeed. Gentlemen, give me 1 second. I have to just shut off something. So I'm going to shut off my camera and mute for a second. I'll be back. Give me 30 seconds. Okay.
Sure. Well, Mr. Hyde, what do you think of all this, man?
He's being very truthful.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
It's a hollow for something. It seems to be that it may be a hard pill to swallow, but yeah,
breaking up
good or bad. It's just terrible.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, you're breaking
again.
Yeah. Stuttering Stanley.
Is that better?
It's like Max Headroom. I don't know how much of the audience remember Max Headroom from the 80s. Those of us that are remember Max Headroom.
Yep.
Well, I'll just
At this point, Dawtaster, I'm going to ask you to hold up a sign because I can't hear a thing you're saying. I'm just saying, blip, 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 blip. Just hold up signs. Hold up signs. Type it on the screen or something. Because at this point, that's all I'm hearing. Blip, 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 blip.
Get the cue cards ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So maybe Geek
Gina Carano.
Okay, what about Gina Carano? I hear one word and then you vanish.
Gina Carano, if you're out there, I got the word for you. Beep, boop, beep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
That's exactly what you're doing. You're fulfilling her very humorous hashtag and pronoun. So that actually enraged that enraged the maniacs on Twitter more than they could understand because she handles pressure with tremendous grace. I mean, that was a funny little thing that she did. She's like, "Oh, you want me to put some he, his, he, she, she's I'm just gonna put this," and she used like R2D2 sounds, right? And that enraged them because the one thing they can't handle is being mocked because it is all silliness, right? Whatever your sexual identity is, whatever your gender identity is, I don't care. But when you feel the need to advertise it in this fashion, 99% of the time, it's purely narcissism. It's purely, look at me, rather than making any kind of commentary about the trans community and any of that, right? And so her pointing that out, how silly it sounds, enraged them.
I have friends and even in family that are in community, and I don't seem like a gigantic. They don't force me to put pronouns on. This is the whole difference.
Yeah. Well, again, it's all about compulsion. It's if I may be bold enough to use World War II analogies that the woke class doesn't actually know anything about, it's the brown shirts. If you remember in World War II, the brown shirts were these young kids that would basically go in and enforce the Nazi social agenda. I mean, they were doing that even before Hitler was really in power. They would come in and they would disrupt classes. Yeah. They were these obnoxious kids that would come in and they would walk into a class in a school and hassle the Jewish teacher, right? That's what we got. These woke clowns on social media are brown shirts. And again, they're too ignorant to know World War II history to know that reference.
Well, they don't even care about the history, right? They just want to see go forward with current events and screw history because it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, and the story, and whatever is not offensive today will be offensive tomorrow, and whatever the new term is that's used to cover the offense will become offensive again. I mean, it's all it's a mind game of people with too much time on their hands and not enough work, right? I mean, these people, if they were actually working with their hands and making something in this world, wouldn't be wasting their time with this stuff.
Yep. And even if they sat down and actually looked at history, they'll see, nothing pisses me off. This whole cancel culture stuff really pisses me off. And, when you see all the statues and stuff being taken down and shit like that, it's just recently too with the syrup, Aunt Jemima syrup, right? Mm-hmm. The whole canceling of the Aunt Jemima, the person who was on the cover or whatever. And it's like, you're hurting her image and her legacy by removing that, because she was a slave, right?
Actually, no. The interesting thing is this: the model for that was a successful African American businesswoman who ended up making a lot of money, traveled around the country promoting the product. And she, as far as I know, she herself was not a slave, and so she was a very successful Black woman. And her children, her grandchildren, have said, "Why are you erasing our entrepreneurial grandmother?" Imagine early 1900s, late 1800s, a Black woman as an entrepreneur and a spokesperson for a major brand. That was crazy then. And she was that person. Why are you erasing her? It's because they projected onto her, well, she's an Aunt Jemima, so it's like Mammy from Gone with the Wind. That's your own projection. You just don't know who the woman is.
Yeah,
it's about as dumb as I'm trying to cancel these Dr. Seuss books. That on the articles, and I'm like, yeah, I could see how some things are possibly racist in some ways, but no kid is actually gonna think that way.
I'm thinking now, I just remembered as we were talking, one of my favorite children's books that really excited my imagination when I was 7-8 years old, right, was a book that probably, if any, thankfully I think the woke crowd's never heard of it, right, but it was a big popular book when I was a kid. You guys remember Tiki Tiki Tembo?
Yep, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that was it was like these two Chinese brothers.
Tiki Tiki Tembo.
Yeah, Tiki Tiki Tembo, Noza Rambo, Chip Perry Pembo, whatever. I mean, from a woke perspective in 2021, you could say that entire story is a racist characterization of Chinese people. At the same time, it inspired my imagination because it was all about these adventures of this kid and his little brother, and then there was this old man who helped get one of the kids who found the well out. And I still remember one of the plates from the children's book, but had the old man that was asleep and he was dreaming, and the images of his dreams, they moved me as a young kid to think visually. And so this is the problem, is that everything you can go back and find. Go back and watch Aladdin from the 90s, right? And I'm Muslim, right? And you can find stuff in there that's silly. It's just what it is these things are the product of the moment that they're in. And I promise you that what these woke scumbags don't understand is whatever their point of view is today, the people that are woker 20 years from now will look back upon them as fascists. You didn't do this. You didn't say that. You didn't use that particular term. You are canceled. So all of these people, it's this journey of perfection of language and idealization of culture is a never-ending one. There's always some jerk off who's going to look back and find fault with something.
Yeah, that's the whole backfire of this whole thing. Dr. Seuss book sales are up now of this whole nonsense.
Well, look what I have on my desk. I just got this today. I got this because I started reading books. I'm a graduate of Dartmouth College, and Dr. Seuss was a Dartmouth graduate. He was a writer in the school newspaper. I was writing the school newspaper back in like the 20s, and he invented the name Dr. Seuss in college for his columns there for the college newspaper. So to me, attacks on Dr. Seuss are very personal.
Yeah, that's attack on a lum. You don't attack a lum.
Yeah, and he was by all accounts, he was a very, very decent human being, like Mr. Rogers. And sure, do some of the drawings show Chinese people looking like people imagine Chinese people stereotypes look in 1940? Sure, they do, right? And guess what? You can go back in medieval art. Medieval art will show, crusaders killing Muslims. That's really offensive to me if I took the time to be offended by it. Right? And portrayals of Muslims. There's a wonderful book called Orientalism by Edward Said, who's a brilliant Palestinian Christian author, a scholar from Columbia who passed away a few years ago. He wrote it 40 years ago in the 80s, looking at depictions of Arab and Muslim culture from the Western eye. And it's always this eroticization going back hundreds of years, not just modern Hollywood, going back hundreds of years, paintings of the Middle East and like the Turkish harems and all that stuff. It's all a projection of repressed European sort of Victorianism onto this culture, which got to be the escape of all the sexual fantasy, right? Whereas in reality, the harems weren't like this. The harems were actually a very political place. They weren't people thinking beautiful women were lounging around in silk and eating grapes, right? And so, but that was the central projection. So I could be offended by 600 years of Western art, or I can look at the art and understand what the artist is conveying based on where he was at the time.
That'd be a heck of a sight. I'm not very well traveled, but I've been around all over the United States and Canada. Mm-hmm. But that would be a hell of a sight.
I mean, look, we all of our cultures have perceptions of other cultures, right? And that, and our art reflects that. So if you look at Middle Eastern art, and how it portrays the Crusaders, really, these pasty-faced barbarians attacking a civilization, right? It's how every culture sees the world through its own eye, and that's how you learn from it.
Yep.
And hi, everybody. Lady Mist, hi, everyone. Looks like you got a nice crowd here.
To learn than to cancel, right? Because
cancelization is the opposite of learning. It's literally erasing knowledge, of history and mistakes of history, and so you learn nothing, and you end up repeating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is to the point where it's almost it actually is a digital book.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. That's one of the reasons
his name.
Keep up and booping again.
Yeah.
Bibbity bobbity booby.
Dothuster, I've heard about 25% of what you said over this broadcast, so I don't even know when you're talking. So God forgive me. I'm just like, okay, I don't know when to speak up. I know when to be silent.
It's okay, brother. It's okay, man. I'm surprised it's even remotely working at this point.
We're gonna have long periods of silence because we can't hear each other.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay. All right.
Go ahead. Continue. Let's see if I got a loose kick.
What are we doing? Yeah, I think he's gone again.
Okay. Well,
you said you worked on Tron. Is that what you said you worked on?
I was the head writer for the Tron Uprising series, which you can now see on Disney Plus. It's been resurrected. It was premiered, over a decade ago, and then on Disney XD at the time, and then it sort of vanished because the show wasn't renewed after I left, and then now it's back on Disney XD, and people are watching it. People are like, hey, I'm getting emails like, hey, your name's on this. This is a really good show. I was like, yeah, it was a good show.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's the Tron Uprising is an animated show that's set just before the Tron sequel movie. So even the anime show was released after the movie came out. It's set in the world just before that, so you understand how the world became that way.
Oh, cool. The one thing I liked about the sequel movie was the music.
Oh yeah,
Daft Punk did a fantastic job on that soundtrack.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think they were actually in the film itself. They're playing sort of robotic musicians instead. So yeah. Yeah. And I had one great moment I had was, when I first joined up as, on that animated show, they were still filming reshoots for the movie. It hadn't come out yet. And so they said, hey, would you guys want to come down and see some of the reshoots? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we went down to the set, and they were filming one of the scenes, and Olivia Wilde was there in her cat suit. And I was like, oh my God, I was sitting right behind the director, at the Video Village, and there's Olivia Wilde with the Tron Frisbee, right? And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually here watching the film being completed. So it was nice.
Jason, how gorgeous was she in that movie too, eh?
Absolutely gorgeous. Wow. But you got to be an absolute professional. Like, I mean, she's one of the most beautiful women on earth. And I was like, yep, I got a big crush on her, and I'm not even going to look at her, because, you got to be an absolute professional on set, right? Yep.
Meanwhile, you're dying inside.
Olivia Wilde.
That's the thing is, even before all even before the public voice of Me Too began, if you're smart, you stayed away from that stuff, right? I mean, people, and Hollywood has always been filled with rich and powerful people that don't stay away from that stuff, and that's still continuing. Yeah. But early on, I was like, yep, 100% distance, professional distance from the actors. You just don't want that craziness in your life.
I probably wouldn't even be able to speak if I was next to her. I'll be like Darth is on his stream right now, going, what?
She's one of those people that, she is really that lovely in real life. And you're like a little bit like, okay, I'm going to start stammering. If I say something, I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah. Sure, that was quite the experience to be there and see everything as it was being filmed and stuff too.
Sure, absolutely. And you see how confident the filmmaker is. The director of that movie he knew the vision he wanted to get, and these were some reshoots to just capture some stuff it's always great to watch, a confident director who's got a command of the set and the actors, and everyone respects them. I've worked with a few directors that are really compelling. One of my biggest projects that never got on the air was I worked with Oliver Stone, who's one of my huge heroes as a filmmaker. I worked with him on a project that we were doing for Showtime about Guantanamo Bay, the prison that's still open down there, and it was a dramatization of some of the legal trials, and it just never got on the air. But it was an incredible thing to work with a filmmaker of that caliber. So
that'd be quite the experience. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had a similar experience years ago when I used to do a lot of theater when I was younger, back home in Belleville. And I was picked. I was doing The Importance of Being Earnest. I was the butler at the time, and I had come to. There was a show in Canada. I'm Canadian, so there was a show in Canada at the time. I was being filmed called. No, I'm thinking about it. I can't remember. Road to Avonlea was the name of it. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. And they were doing some filming in Kingston, so they asked me if I would be interested in coming on and doing a small part. And it was quite an experience.
Yeah, look, for all my grumbling about Hollywood and its politics and its cultural issues and its other nonsense, the actual process of filmmaking is quite magical. And being on a set, and much of a set is actually very boring. You're just sitting there watching paint dry. Things happen very slowly, to take. I mean, and you have to have a lot of patience because, like, okay, cut. Now it's 2 hours to reset it here and, get the actors new. It's constantly just sort of sitting and waiting, right? But when it's action time, it's really incredibly magical. And as a writer, there's great wonder in seeing actors read your words in front of you and they're bringing it to life. And so the process of filmmaking itself is quite wonderful. The characters involved in the industry have never been wonderful. And that goes back to the silent film days. I mean, it's always been a cast of shady figures, right? That's the industry.
Yeah. That's the power of the actor as well, to be able to bring these characters to light and make them interesting.
And I see our friend Darth Hastor is now doing what we suggested. He's doing the work.
Yeah.
He's working, my friend, and we're able to communicate with you now. Great.
Yeah. You know, it was a lot of fun being on the movie set and watching everything. And Kingston has a nice history with film too, because I mean the scene in Superman with Christopher Lee, or Christopher Reeve, was filmed when they were bringing Lex Luthor into the jail. You know, the big peak there, you see the red peak. That's the female prison at the time. Was actually active, so it was.
Oh wow! I didn't know. You taught me something new. I didn't know that's where it was filmed. So wow, yeah. It's a great movie. It's one of I still remember seeing the original Superman. What was it, 1977? Whenever it came out, 78. Seeing it as a little kid, it was. I think it was the first. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was the very first movie I saw in a theater. I would have been about 5 or 6 years old, and I still remember my heart soaring as I sat there. I mean, the screen looked so huge. I mean, you're a 6-year-old kid, right? The screen looked so massive. Well, this wasn't IMAX, probably some little podunk little screen in Brooklyn, right? But it looked so massive. And then, you know, the score stirred me, and you know, all the magic, Krypton exploding, and then Superman when he finally flies. I mean, that whole sequence, I still remember watching as a little kid, that sequence where he saves Lois from the helicopter that's falling off the building, right? And I mean, to this day, that still, I mean, I will watch that on YouTube, and that will bring tears to my eyes, because it takes me back 40 years to what an incredible moment that was as a child to watch that thing. And I mean, as a little kid, your heart is racing watching her hanging, you know, from this helicopter that's falling down, and then Superman just flies up and grabs her. That incredible line Christopher Reeve delivered perfectly when he's like, "Don't worry, I got you," when he grabs her and he's flying, and she's like, "You got me. Who's got you?" Right? It's such a classic moment.
Yeah, and you can still hear it in her. You know, she's got that scratchy voice too, right? So as soon as you hear that line, that's the first thing you think of. And John Williams, I was 7 when that movie came out, and I saw it in the theaters too, and it had me right from the titles. You know, and those words are coming straight at you, and John Williams' score.
Yeah.
That's what actually that and Star Trek Motion Picture got me into the love of movie scores. You know, the power in the emotion that you can feel by watching a movie, by listening to these awesome movie scores. So.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I once saw in a film school class, I once saw just an analysis of the great scene in Return of the Jedi when Vader finally turns against the Emperor and kills him to save Luke, right? And that scene works primarily because of music, because you know, the actor, you don't see his face. He's wearing a mask, and all he's doing is what he always does. He looks this way, he looks that way. He looks up, he looks down. That's all that's all he's doing, because he's wearing the Vader mask, right? And if it wasn't for the music, you don't know how torn he is as he's watching his son being electrocuted by the Emperor. And the music makes you feel his pain as he's overcoming his brainwashing and his Sith pathologies and all of that. And the music turns the moment he flips and he grabs, you know, Sidious and throws him, right? And it's the music that create that entire scene, because there's no words from him. And that's a perfection of a score.
Yeah, exactly. And I was actually I think it was on Instagram, and I was talking to somebody about that same scene, but where Luke finally turns, you know, on Vader, and that scene where he's fighting Vader and he chops Vader's arm or hand off.
Yeah,
I mean, the music in that moment, you know, you really feel the pain. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Yeah, soundtracks for me are. I think I'm more into going to movies to hear the music than I am the actual movie sometimes.
Well, that's great. I mean, and you know, I've got friends of mine who are composers, and it's really a magic. There's two elements of film that are often the average person doesn't realize are the foundations of a good movie or a good TV show is the music composer, and then and also the editing. Because as when you work in the industry, you come to understand that editors are magicians. And, you know, I've worked on projects where like we're looking at the raw footage and the dailies, we're like, we're done. We're all going to be fired. There's nothing we can't salvage this. There's nothing we can do. And the editor comes in and goes, okay, give this to me. and like 24 hours later they come back with a cut that actually works. You're like, where the hell did you find that? There's not footage isn't even there. And they were like, well, I found this 1/1000th of a moment in this frame, and I found this 1/1000th of a moment here, and I put it together. I was like, I mean, the human eye can't see what these people are seeing, and they're able to make something.
Editing is another one of my pet projects too. I do a lot of like fan trailers on my YouTube channel and stuff like that. And I love the process of peeling something apart and putting it together again like a puzzle.
Sure.
Creating something that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you talk about composers, John Williams is a genius.
Sure, he's one of our.
Someone who I'm really into right now is Michael Giacomo. I think that's how you say his name. I really didn't really pay much attention to him until he did the soundtrack to Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
And
that soundtrack, yeah,
fantastic.
Well, that's overall. I mean, that's the only movie out of this fake Star Wars that I think is what I call good fan fiction. I think everything after George Lucas sold Star Wars is just fan fiction, and I think it's all bad fan fiction, and some of it is worse fan fiction, like The Last Jedi, right? But the only thing that's good fan fiction, in my opinion, is Rogue One, which is okay. This is almost as good as some of the fan films that I've seen made on YouTube, right? So because there's real love in the story for the franchise, whereas the others, you're like, is this Star Wars? What is this thing? So,
and same with a Mandalorian and how that progressed through the 16 chapters that they had, right? Because at the beginning it was really slow, and you're like, well, what's going to happen, right? But I love the progress that made in that series.
Well, you could also see the political progress of the series, because Jon Favreau is a brilliant, savvy corporate politician. He understands how to maneuver a place like Disney much better than I did, right? And so you could see in the early things, that's why people in the early days of Mandalorian were grumbling. It's like, this is just setting up the Last Jedi and this crappy trilogy, whatever. Because he would do little references to whatever Canto Bight and other garbage from the Last Jedi. He would throw those references in, right? And he was doing that wisely to put his adversaries off the track. He didn't want them to see that he had a plan to wrest this franchise away from these flying monkeys. So he kept giving little Easter eggs of garbage to these flying monkeys, and they all thought, okay, he's along with us. He's going to do our grand vision that we tried to do in The Last Jedi. And then he progressively accelerated it until we get to chapter 16, which is he introduces Luke, reintroduces Luke, which I'm sure sent everybody to the flying monkeys camp, fuming and mad with rage that he had essentially undone their work, and he had done it without them realizing it. It's politically brilliant, and unfortunately, the Gina Carano situation sort of blew up in his face. But he was working towards ousting the whole flying monkey camp,
and he did it properly too. I mean, I think he listened to the fans too, right? And he saw what the fans wanted. He saw what he wanted too as a fan, and
he's a fan. And I've said this before. Friends of mine who work with him, like are in his inner circle, in his crew, have said to me directly that he is absolutely a Star Wars fan. That Star Wars is one of the films that made him become a filmmaker, and that he contacted, allegedly, I don't know this for sure, but they've said it to me, he contacted Disney when he when he started seeing what was happening with the sequel trilogy. Said, guys, you're on the wrong track. Can I help you with this? Can you let me help you with this? I can help you fix this, because he's one of us. He's a fan. He's like, what is this crap?
Yeah.
Happy first-year anniversary, Darth, and may your second-year anniversary have the most incredible sound in the history of YouTube.
There you go.
Someone I was following when I was on Twitter, but I got booted off Twitter 2 weeks ago. I think I'm permanently banned. They made up some excuse that I was spamming, and I was like, what it was I was the only thing to say. I was critical of Lucasfilm, and they have their connections to Lucasfilm. As you, Gina Carano, they're censoring stuff she's doing. So I was very critical of Lucasfilm and very pro Gina Carano, and they pulled my Twitter.
The whole cancel culture thing, right?
Yeah, and they couldn't even give me a real reason. I mean, it wasn't like you said something offensive. It's literally like you are. They literally, the email they sent me where they pulled my Twitter was, we believe this to be a fake account, using it for spam. I'm like, dude, I've been using this account for 10 years. I'm a published author. I was using it primarily to promote my books. Well, what do you, and that's because they couldn't find any real reason to pull my thing. So they just said, you're a fake account being used for spam. I'm like, well, that's not true. So whatever.
Yeah. And you can't argue with them neither, too, right? So
yeah, there's an appeal thing. I pressed the appeal thing. They didn't respond to it. Whatever.
Yeah, no, that's you can appeal all you want, but once they make up their mind, they know that they're sort of appeasing the powers that be by doing something like that.
Yeah, they've got. I mean, look, someone said to me, "Are you really believe a conspiracy theory that Lucasfilm could somehow get you pulled?" I was like, I'm not saying that Lucasfilm made a phone call. They might have. They certainly have the power to do that. But I'm saying that there are people that sympathize with the narrative of the flying monkeys inside of the Twitter political chain, and they view Gina Carano as someone who is a trans or whatever garbage they projected onto her that's false, right? So they saw me as an increasingly loud defender of hers. And the one thing that was a problem was, I'm actually in the industry, and so that's a real problem to have somebody who's actually a professional filmmaker, screenwriter with real credits coming out and saying this is all a lot of nonsense what you're doing to Gina. They had to get me off there.
Which is, I don't know, it's sad, the world that we live in where that has to happen, where they try to silence you for having a different opinion.
Well, it also shows they are afraid, right?
Yeah,
they're afraid. I knew something was wrong a few days before I was pulled from Twitter. Something strange was happening. I started getting. I began to believe that I was being attacked by Lucasfilm, and before I got pulled. So it was the weekend. I got pulled on a Monday. On a Saturday before I got pulled. Actually, let me just answer Time Profit. No, I can't set up a new account because they've blocked my IP. They've my address. Anything coming from my apartment can't be used on Twitter. I have other accounts. All of them have been blocked. Anything coming from my laptop or anything coming from my vicinity is being blocked by Twitter. So I can't do that. But unless I go to Kinko's and go to Kinko's every time I want to use Twitter, which is not a good use of my time. But to answer, what was happening there was on the Saturday before I got pulled, someone sent me a tweet saying, or DM saying, "Hey man, check this out, this thread." So I went to a thread, and there was some person I don't know who was following me. Some account that I don't know was following me, was talking crap about me on this thread where people were criticizing Lucasfilm. And he was saying, "Oh, you're all getting this from that fraud Cameron Pasha. He's a nobody, he's a nothing. Don't believe him. He got fired from Disney," I was fired from Tron, which I'm happy to talk about why that happened, right? I left Tron, and I'm very open about what happened there. And so it was like, listen, I was like, but this guy wasn't like CCing, he's allegedly following me, but he wasn't like putting my name in, tagging me, so I knew that he was talking about me. So I said, "Hey man, why?" I just posted, I said, "If that is your opinion of my character, why are you even following me?" And then he responded immediately and started making very personal attacks about me, about my religion, very detailed attacks about my background. I was like, I got really like, this is not a normal troll. This is somebody who's like researched who I am and like my past, and is like, I was like, this is a Lucasfilm troll. This is somebody inside of Lucasfilm who's gotten annoyed and did research on me and is going to places and talking about me to try to discredit me. So I blocked the dude, right? And then I got very angry and I put out a tweet, which was just before I was pulled. I put out a tweet saying that if there's any Lucasfilm, flying monkeys, as I call them, if any of you are sort of, secretly following me, just know that I said two things. One is, just know Kathleen Kennedy doesn't respect you. You're just a tool in her political game, right? And number two is, you have no future. I have a successful 20-year industry career, right? I know for a fact people are, young writers and filmmakers I'm talking about, like, Lucasfilm is a scarlet letter. If you're working there right now, you're not going to have a career after this. People don't like Lucasfilm in the industry. Filmmakers, major people like Colin Trevor or others that have been fired, these are powerful people. I've had major screenwriters tell me they'd never work for Lucasfilm. So it's like, if you try to get to your next job from Lucasfilm with that on your resume, you're not going to get it, right? I posted that, and then shortly thereafter, I get this surprise message saying I'm being pulled for pulling spam. And that wasn't a coincidence to me. I've been on for 10 years. Why would I get pulled right after that?
Yep, sounds like you were definitely headhunted.
Well, and there was a specific thing I said. The last thing I said, which was pulled, which I didn't understand the significance of until 48 hours later. Doomcock, the very successful, YouTuber Doomcock, who I've been on once or twice with him. He's wonderful. So I was like angry that I got pulled. I was like, all right, whatever. Okay, I'm off Twitter now. As I've lost 5,000 followers, and some book sales are gonna whatever. It is, life goes on. And then Doomcock did a video where he said in his video that Jon Favreau refers to Kathleen Kennedy as Sauron, like from the Lord of the Rings. And he says when his code, apparently from his sources, whenever they were trying to keep things hush hush, like allegedly Favreau kept the actual Return of Luke hush hush from anybody at Lucasfilm. They didn't know. They had another actor dubbing it. No one knew that character was Luke until he was filmed into it, right? And Kathleen Kennedy hadn't been told. That's the alleged story. And then he did that saying that it was the eye of Sauron is on us. We got to do it very quietly. And the last tweet that I did before I was pulled, the last tweet was, and it's just a strange coincidence, I said I compared Kathleen Kennedy to Sauron. And that was when I was pulled. So if someone inside of Lucasfilm is watching, they're seeing whatever Jon Favreau's alleged code is, and they're seeing me use it coincidentally without knowing it. They probably thought, oh, this guy actually really does work for Favreau, or he's like one of Favreau's voice pieces who's trying to get Favreau's message out. And that's when I got pulled. So I'm not one of Favreau. I mean, I don't know Mr. Favreau. I have conveyed what others who know him have conveyed to me, but I don't know him, and I'm not his mouthpiece. But the fact that I accidentally used his code word was the end for me on Twitter. That speaks for itself.
Yeah. Oh, thumbs up. And how special was that scene, at the end when Luke shows up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wow. I remember I sat there and I was almost in tears when that happened.
Yeah.
Including my wife. Like my wife and I, big Star Wars fans until Last Jedi. And I remember her and I sitting, we watched, we didn't go to the theater to watch Last Jedi. We thought we'd wait for it to come out. And we watched it on Netflix. And
but by then you had heard that some people didn't like it.
Yeah. So we got a shot. About 20 minutes in, my wife was off. She had lost interest. And then I finally looked at her. I'm going, that's actually when you see Luke for the first time, right? And the way he was treating Rey and, with the Jedi and must end and all that shit. And I look at her and I'm like, fuck, this is horrible. And then that was the end of our Star Wars. We didn't see the last movie.
I didn't see it either. I was out. I mean, I was out after Last Jedi. I didn't see Solo. I actually didn't subscribe to Disney Plus or watch The Mandalorian until the day I heard Luke returned. Then I subscribed and I binge watched the entire series. But I said until Luke Skywalker is fixed, I will not return to Disney. And the sad thing is, I enjoyed The Mandalorian very much, and I love that final sequence. Even though by the time I watched it, I knew I'd probably seen it multiple times in various edits, right? The actual fight sequence and all that. But it's still, when I finally saw it on my home television, I still had tears in my eyes. It moved me, and I didn't know that R2 was going to appear at the end because that didn't appear in some of the clips I'd seen, right? So R2's appearance and then Grogu going off with R2 really touched me very deeply, and I loved it, and I was excited, and I was so happy, and I was excited for the Book of Boba Fett that I saw. I was like, okay, this thing's back. Favreau's in control. He's beating the flying monkeys, and then this thing happened with Gina, and when it happened with Gina, same way, like within a few hours, I canceled Disney Plus, and it remains canceled.
Like 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back.
Yeah. But Disney saw that. I mean, Disney has the data. I'm one of the data points, and there are millions of data points, but they have that data where they'll see this subscriber came in Disney Plus, within 5 hours of us bringing Luke Skywalker, and within 5 hours of losing Luke Skywalker, he cancels. I mean, I'm not alone. There's tens of thousands, potentially more than tens of thousands who did that, and Disney's aware of those numbers. They're not either. They know what happened. I mean, they have the data. They know what the audience reacted to, and they know what the customer reacted to. So that's why I'm not of all the panicking people that feel Ms. Kennedy is safe and protected by the system. She's not, but they have to publicly say she is for PR purposes.
They really need
we have Nancy. I don't know Nancy. Someone who's joined us.
Hello, Nancy.
Hi.
Hi, so we have
Hi,
a
can you
few-
guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You're not doing the max headroom as our friend Darth Hastor is doing.
Yeah. He's my virtual son, actually. I love Darth. And we just found out that you were on. And I just wanted to say, you know what? Kudos for you, because I remember playing like Pong and I like back in the day and like all those old video games. And we were all talking one day, wouldn't it be bitching if we could be in the game? And then bam, Tron comes out, right?
Yeah.
And we all go to see Tron, and we were like at the edge of our seat back then, because
and that was
just
incredible
like,
special effects. I mean, you're like,
yes,
wow, you're in there.
wow.
Cool.
Yeah. And so now, like, all the shit's going down with all the blah, blah, blah in Hollywood, right? They just don't want good creative minds anymore. They want little robot minds. And kudos for you for standing up, because, you know, that's what we're trying to do too, is create new content and create good old fashioned friggin', yeah, look at that crap. That's new stuff, you know? They don't want that. They want anyone that's going to be a little sheep to follow them. And that's like bullshit. And that's great. And every time you get shut down is just more opportunity for you to rise above. And I just think that that's bitchin'. And so you got my support. And believe me, I come with a lot of people. Yeah,
Thank
right
you.
on.
Well,
yes, absolutely.
I mean, for better or worse, that's been who I've been for 20 years. It drives my agents crazy because it doesn't always help my career. Like I said, I mentioned I was fired from Tron Uprising. I was the head writer. I put together the writing team, and I was let go halfway through the show. And it was because I wouldn't be quiet when I saw things were going wrong. There were problems within the system, the production system, and there were errors. I was saying, this person needs to get out of the way. This person needs to do their job. And I was, instead of going along with very powerful people, I would point out and say, and so one day they're like, all right, you've instead of just going along with the incompetence that you're witnessing, you're causing waves. And we're not going to confront the people you want us to confront because they're politically powerful, and we're going to let you go. And when I won't reveal who it was. There were people within the system that were not getting us notes on time, that, you know, we had to, you know, my scripts were always 100% on time. I'd created a schedule. You know, that's my job as a showrunner, is to make sure the scripts are good scripts on time. That's my job. It's as simple as that, right? And my scripts were always on time. And then we would wait, but the problem is we would then wait for certain people within the system who are more powerful than us, who had to then give notes or give approvals, but we wouldn't get those approvals, and we wouldn't get the approvals by the deadlines that we needed them by. So that eventually the show was then massively off schedule, not because the scripts were off schedule, it's just because certain people in the system weren't playing along, right, to the schedule.
Right.
And a show like that being off schedule, there's animators in Asia that were being paid a lot of money and overtime while we're off schedule, right? And so I saw that there was a looming budgetary crisis because of this. And I confronted the executives. I said, this, and this person are not doing what we need. They're not listening to me. And I need you to tell them to either give us notes on time or get out of the way of the process. If they don't give us notes, they have the deadline. If we don't have their feedback, we are just going to move forward, assuming that they have no feedback, right? And the next day, I was called into the office. I assume it was update of, okay, we talked to them and everything's going to be fine. And then we didn't talk to nobody. You're out of here, buddy. You're not going to talk to nobody.
Right.
That's not how Disney works.
We'd rather bow down to the people with the money than the people who are going to watch and get the money. Yeah.
Somebody more powerful than them, they weren't going to say to them, hey, man, you're screwing this up, you're making us lose money. How do you think Miss Kennedy has been able to lose massive amounts of money? Because no one is willing to say, hey, boss, there's a problem here, right? Why are we reshooting Solo 80% of when they finish, right? That's a lot of $200 million. That's not a joke. But no one's going to do that.
Right. It's not a joke. And I agree with you, because I know a lot of people in the industry too who's like, what the effing bebop is going on here? It's like everything has totally twisted. So their powers are shifted to the higher ups, right? That are making now. What are they making? Crap.
Yeah.
Sorry. But you know, there's nothing good coming out of you know, I'm just, back in the day, you're about my age, so we didn't stand up for that crap. Right. You don't stand up for that crap, and we're not going to stand up for it now. And yeah, that
Well,
sucks that you lost your job, but fudge.
But it
You
was,
did the right thing.
and I don't,
The show must go on.
and as
Right?
I was being asked to leave, I said to
Mhm.
the executives, I was like, okay, I'm going to leave. I'll pack up my stuff and go right now, which is what they wanted.
Right.
They wanted me out that day. I said, okay, no problem. I'm out. No problem. I'm out. You can have it. You can have your office, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I said, before I go, I want to say a couple of things. And one thing I said to them, I said, what you're going to do is this. You're going to replace me immediately by someone who's going to just do what you want, which is be quiet,
Mhm.
not question anything, and execute it exactly as you ask, even if it's a bad idea. That's what you're going to get a yes man. So you're going to get a
Right.
yes man. And what's going to happen is this process that I'm telling you is happening is going to get worse and worse and worse because the yes man won't stop it, right? And so
Right.
what will happen to you is you are going to lose so much money because of this that at the end of the season, the bean counters will look at the financials of Tron Uprising and they will not renew the show, right? So
Right.
that is exactly what happened. And I said, what's also going to happen is you're going to have a yes man. You're also going to change the nature of the show. It's not going to be, I was trying to do a sophisticated show on the scale of Batman, the Batman series, which adults loved as well as children did. And
Right.
and so the new guy came in and, he became like a little kiddie show. And people are like, hey, how did the
Hello,
show
check.
go from sophisticated Tron, storytelling to
Mhm.
like, happy-go-lucky little kitty thing, right? Like,
No, yeah.
and so the show changed. The numbers plummeted, the ratings plummeted, and the finances got worse. And so once this was going to be their massive new franchise for Disney XD, and as I predicted, end of season,
Right.
it was canceled. Tron itself was canceled, and it's been 15 years. They're still trying to get it back on the ground. I was like, but
all
at least
because somebody wouldn't deliver their stuff.
Yeah.
Right. All because somebody didn't deliver their stuff on time. How stupid is that? That's just
but they didn't have the
stupid.
uncomfortable conversation. They're all still friendly at the country club. They're all the same. They're all hanging out, cocktail parties, and kissing each other's butts and pretending they like.
Yeah, but they're all stabbing each other in the back. You know how it is. I mean,
and I was like,
yeah,
I'll see y'all later, suckers. This is just
right.
I'm proud of what I did, and the pride I get is I get messages now people saying, "Hey, man, the first half of that show was really good." I was like, "Yeah, I wrote the first." Yeah.
Nothing's stopping you from
Half
making
of that
another
show was
show,
actually
right?
good. Can you
Nothing's
actually hear me
stopping
now?
You're a little bit better.
Taurus.
You're better, Darth Master. You're a little bit better.
Half of that show was really good. I am a big fan of Tron myself personally, and I've always loved Tron. I remember being like, actually, I can't even exactly remember. My dad said that I was 2 years old in the theater.
2 years old.
And I was I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, this was really good, and it still kind of holds up pretty well.
It holds up pretty well.
Then
and the visuals are stunning. I mean, this was really, at the time, it was very advanced computer graphics that hadn't been tested before. We did some really interesting animation that hadn't been done before that set up animation for the next decade. So I'm proud of it, right? And, it's a tragedy of how it played out, but I'm also know, like 10 years later, I've been vindicated. Everything I said happened, right? So.
Right. But not only that, look what you created, and you're absolutely right. Even for that day, it was fucking mind-blowing. It's even mind-blowing today, which is like a time classic. That's what I've been trying to tell a lot of people. There's still more to discover. You could still do the stuff that us boomers were doing back in the day and make stuff better. There's so many original ideas out there. Grab them and make them.
Yeah.
However you can make them. Creating and putting it out there is still creating and putting it out there. Mm-hmm. Everybody's whining about the same old thing. Well, then change it. Like when we got pissed off at Hollywood, we changed the Hollywood sign. Hollyweed. Well, you'll get busted now. We didn't because there was no cameras. But, it was a different time era. But like we stood up. We stand up for our stuff, right?
Well, it's also because we had the benefit of not being the loser generation. We are trapped between two loser generations who are narcissists.
I know.
We are trapped between these, these whatever, these morons from post World War II, right? To now
Right.
these millennials, right?
Right.
The boomers and the millennials,
Right.
and these are two narcissist generation that had it easy. We're the ones getting our asses latched kids, right? And so we don't have time for nonsense. The only way we survived as kids was learning how to, okay, mom and dad are at work all day long. I got to learn how to food without setting the house on fire, right? And so we were very practical. And so we don't have time for these coddled narcissist moron generations.
Right.
We're trapped between them.
Right. Absolutely. But I also feel that it's my job too to explain to some of these people, look, come on now. They're going to, it just frustrates me because I wish I could get through to them that you guys are doing it wrong. You guys are doing it wrong. You guys are doing it wrong. And look, you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. That's insanity, people.
Well, because
you're not try something different, These
are narcissists. It isn't about doing anything. It's about expressing themselves, right? And so you can't fix either of these generations. And Hollywood is trapped between them right now because you got the generation represent Iger and those characters, right? Represent the boomer generation, and you've got.
Hey, I'm a boomer.
I'm sorry. Well, you feel like more like Generation X. You're not a boomer. You're Generation X.
But a lot of people get like us 80s generation really confused. Yeah. No, we're like in the middle. We're like in that void. Yeah.
Anybody's watching Tron in the 80s is Generation X, right? I mean, anybody who's enjoying Duran Duran is Generation X. Okay.
Anybody that's been producing rock opera for 20 years.
If you were at Woodstock, you're a boomer. I mean, if Woodstock. If the only thing you know about Woodstock is because you watch it on the Wonder Years, then you're on Generation X, right? And so
right.
Kids
going to like California Jam at 14 years old, a 3-day concert. Yeah, then you're definitely not a boomer.
You're not a boomer. You wouldn't be talking to you are to a boomer, right? You wouldn't
right.
Boomer, right?
It's crazy though. It's great. But I feel like I just want to grab somebody by their bun and smack him upside the head and say, really, now listen to us because we know what we're talking about. Because look what came out of our little spot. Look what just came out of our little teeny window. And you guys have such a big window now with all this friggin' technology that we did not have.
Because again, these are two generations, both the boomers and the millennials, who are coddled because they have so many opportunities. The boomers were after World War II, which was the rationing generation. They have this explosion and whatever that they were given all this stuff, and then through our hard work, the millennials got this wonderful culture, right? And so we're the ones that struggled and had our asses kicked, and it's actually going to be the next generation. You see these little kids, these poor little kids that are mom and dad are making them wear masks at 5 years old in the playground. They're the ones that are going to be like us because they're getting their asses kicked. So then that is going to be the creative survivor generation.
And that's the ones we need to target, I think. Yeah, seriously, with information, because obviously the other ones aren't going to listen. But these little ones that I talk to, because I love little kids, they're just like so smart. They see through it. They're like, this stuff isn't real.
Yeah,
because if it was in the air, it'd be in the. They're so smart. They're like, if it's in the air, then it'd be in the house. How come And they're like asking all these questions, and I'm like, ask those hard ask questions. Yeah.
Because they're not a coddle generation. They're a generation that's growing up under lockdown, and they're seeing they're seeing stuff that doesn't make sense. Why do I? I was just having a friend of mine. He's got a kid who's like 7 years old. We were having pizza a few days ago, and he was complaining about he had gone to the playground and he was playing, and some kid came up to him and a kid his age started yelling at him, "You're not wearing a mask. You're not wearing a mask. You're wearing a mask, right?" And he was saying, why didn't they? Why he said that to me? He didn't say it to the girls. Why did he say it to me? He said that's not fair. And that guy, and I was like, this kid had figured out that life isn't fair and there's prejudice, there's injustice, and he experienced it. Unlike generation, unlike these millennials who were coddled, and so they imagine discrimination everywhere because they actually haven't experienced it. They haven't experienced suffering. Whereas this little kid is being hurt by this current environment, and he's questioning it. He's like, "That's not right." Why do I have to wear a mask? Why is he not telling that to her? Why is he saying to the brown kid and not to the white kid? And
Ooh, yeah.
7 years old, he said that. So I was like, this kid is gonna be really awake, unlike his aunts and uncles who are woke. His kid's gonna know what's going on.
Yeah, the big difference between being awake and woke. Oh, big difference. God bless you. I couldn't have said it better. That is excellent point.
You know, we just have to get these. You know, the great thing is all these millennials are turning into cat kid people. Like they're sitting at home, drinking wine with their cats, right? And so they're not going to. God. So let's get them out of the picture. This is the generation that's
and telling us that are like 50, 58. But we're trying to look for work because we ain't done yet, right?
Oh yeah, well we got
have already run corporations, and set up corporations that you don't know what you're doing. Oh,
yeah, we got to save the world. We're the Breakfast Club that now has to save the world, right? We're these kids. We're like, we don't want. We're the only competent people. Like the older people than us are morons, and the younger people than us are morons, and so we have to save the world. And so we're the only ones left. Like we're the only ones. We're the ones primarily leading the fight against Disney and Lucasfilm, right? And we've got some young championing it, but it's mostly us. I mean, I've seen all these YouTubers. They're all people who watched the Breakfast Club in the '80s. None of us. We don't want this responsibility, but everything that made our lives okay during our childhood suffering is being taken away from us. So we got no respect to fight for it.
You get no, you have no respect. Nope, they're not respecting you whatsoever. Absolutely. They're not, and that's it. They have no respect whatsoever. Sorry.
What you're asking?
I said, why is there a Pat Benatar song popping in my head right now?
Which one?
The
warrior. Yeah.
Was that Benatar?
Bang, bang.
I don't think that was Pat Benatar. I'm a huge Benatar fan.
Was it?
Say that. I don't think it was Pat Benatar. It was another singer.
No.
The Warriors.
Joan Jett.
I'll tell you.
Joan Jett.
No.
I will tell you. It's. I think her name was Pat. Hold on. I'll tell you in a second. I will tell you because I watched that video a lot. I love that video.
Yeah. The walls of heartache, baby. Bang.
Patti Smith. It was Patti Smith.
Okay.
Patti Smith. But Pat Benatar, the funny thing is, just before I came on this, I was looking at, I was like, now that things are being open again, I was like, I'd love to see a concert. So anybody from the 80s?
Yeah. And I've seen that Pat Benatar in concert. She's amazing.
Pat Benatar.
She's doing some stuff in Orlando in May. That's what I just saw before I came on here, is that Pat Benatar is doing a concert in Orlando Hard Rock. So I was like, maybe I could head out to Florida and check this out.
Oh man, really? Listen, her music was so like Hell Is for Children, and that song was when that song came out, that was wow.
We Belong is right?
Mm-hmm.
Sex as a Weapon, one of my favorites by her.
Yeah, I mean, but again, those were the kinds of songs. I mean, the 80s are the greatest songs. I mean, it's the greatest history, and it remains so. I mean, I've listened to 90s music. I was like, this stuff is crap, man. I mean, 80s understood.
They empowered us. Those songs, I don't know about you, but they empowered me.
Beethoven would have gotten it. Like Beethoven and Mozart would be like, man, this is good music. 80s is good music.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and it got a lot of people through a lot of shit back then too. I mean, a lot of people were going through a lot of shit.
Yeah, and it was like
the 80s was a weird year.
I'm triggered. It was real shit. Yeah. Like all of us were like, we were literally the latchkey kids. Like I was reading about some poor. Reading about some poor African American woman who was literally a poor woman who was working at the local diner, and she got arrested because she left her 8-year-old child in the motel room by herself, and she got arrested for child abuse. I was like, 8-year-old child, man. I was like 8 years old. Both my parents are working.
I was flying on a plane alone when I was 8. Yeah, they put me on a plane to New York when I was 8.
My poor parents would get arrested for that. There was no other way to put food on the table. I was at come home. No, don't answer the door. We had all the rules. Don't turn the stove on. I mean, if there's a problem, we had all the latchkey kid rules. And now this poor woman's getting arrested for putting her kid in a motel where the motel was aware and was keeping an eye on the child and checking up on the child. I wish I had somebody checking up on me when I was 8 and I was doing the lab. So, but we're in this world now, right? So. Yeah.
I learned how to make craft dinner when I was 8 years old by myself. Because
that's exactly it. We're survivors. We're survivors. And we're the ones who are going to have to fix this stupid world that we're in, because we built the beautiful world out of our suffering, and then these young morons come in who have had it easy, who destroy that world. So now we got to fix it.
And about Twitter and stuff, I have been banned for life from Facebook and Twitter, but I found a way to go back onto Twitter.
Okay.
But they don't like what I say when I said, you know what? We giveth and we could take it away. Well, first start with 420. We'll take that away from you. Then we'll take every bit of knowledge of computers, because you guys don't know what it's like to be a real geek and nerd. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because us real geeks and nerds knew how to separate from the internet and actually have a life.
Well, we're the ones
program and do the programming, and we're the ones who figured out all that shit. Let's take it away, then start taking away the shit.
Yeah. So
that's what I would do. I'd say I'd start taking away the shit, but we don't have to, because all the powers that be are effing it up for their own selves.
Well,
but in the meantime, do we have to go back underground and recreate the things that really effing matter? You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But we're a little too old. So now it's up to you guys, and we're supporting you.
Well, again, I don't know who you're saying too old. You're one of us. So, I mean,
right. But we're still,
nobody else doing this except us. I mean, there's nobody else doing it. And more importantly,
at 58 years old, me and my buddy, we're starting our own media company. We've already got everything in line. He's been doing it for 20 years. I've been writing for over 40 years, but been a musician the whole 9 yards, because even at 58, this is what we were saying. We're too old, but we're going in incognito. We're going recon.
We have the experience and we have the money, which is what Lucasfilm, or at least Disney, is waking up to, is that they were catering to this dumb millennial crowd that wasn't watching Star Wars anyway, right?
Right.
And then, but we're the ones who were buying all the toys. We were buying this. We were 40-year-old, adults.
I'm still buying toys.
So we're the market, and we have money because we have jobs, right? Unlike this generation of clowns, it's living with their parents, right? And so they're the ones on Twitter causing drama. I was like, yeah, but they don't have any money. We're the ones. We are the customer base, not these kids.
Right.
Yeah, they're just looking for something to complain about.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it. I'm offended. Oh my God. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to have to bash someone's face in the pavement, just virtually speaking. So I come around with, well, your offense offends me. I mean, come on. Is that all you're going to do all day long, is looking for something? Hey, take all that friggin' energy and why don't you put it into something good?
Well, what we're going to watch
that would be bad.
We're going to watch the downfall of the millennials in the next 5 years. Because they're already, the older end of the millennials are in their 30s. Like I said, they're all sort of like lonely people with their cats and their wine, sitting at home without relationships, screwed up relationships, like that generation.
And their therapy and their pills and
they're all pathetic. And the younger end of that, so it's like that generation is like late 30s to like early 20s, right? And so the younger generation is now just coming out of college. The last element of the millennials is coming out of college and entering the workforce and getting fired from the workforce, right? That's what's happening. Like there was this event. There was that TV show Superman and Lois that is now doing very well. That's recently come out on CW. People really like it. And there was a young woman that got fired from the show who was from that generation, who immediately posted on Twitter, they fired me because I was African American and blah, blah, blah. And it's like the moment she did that, friends of mine who are powerful screenwriters and television writers, knew all the people on that show. And they were all sort of liberal, I voted for Biden types. And they all emailed me and started saying, man, we're never going to hire this person. We know the people on that show. She was fired because she wasn't a good writer. But now she's using the millennial, she's using the victim narrative. And so she's not only this poor girl been fired from a show, she's now made all these adversaries in Hollywood who won't hire her because they're like, we don't want this troublemaker. And so now she is learning the lesson that these kids are about to learn, which is how the world works. And so this is the last. So like the older end of the millennials are a bunch of losers at home with their cats, and the younger end of these that are getting fired from their entry-level jobs. So that generation is about to wipe out. And we're going to watch it. Yeah, we're gonna and then they'll be out of the way so that this younger generation of kids are like, because you watch these reactions. I've been watching reaction videos of when Luke Skywalker returns Mandalorian. Not only is it people like us jumping up and down and screaming, it's their kids. It's little kids jumping up and down and screaming, "Oh, mommy, that's Luke Skywalker from the DVD." And that's little kids are screaming. So I'm like, okay, these morons in between are not watching this, but these kids wanted Luke Skywalker back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's why we're going to be okay. We just have to get these millennials off. Basically, I said this is in history is going to remember these people as a Senate. For all the millennials who are in the chat, you're the exception because you're on this chat. But the majority generation is essentially lost. It's going to be a lost generation. That's history is going to say, these people didn't accomplish it. There's no Mozarts coming out of this culture. There's no Van Goghs. This is just a wasted generation of morons on social media who are about to get their comeuppance. It's already beginning, right?
Right.
About to be this massively failed generation who are going to be wiped out because they're going to be replaced by these young kids who are coming in now, and they're going to be these generation of losers with no jobs, no relationships, they're not, without kids, who are just going to vanish.
But just need to sit back and watch the stupid for the next 5 years.
Yeah, and it is really a 5-year time frame. This is the end of their reign. It's ending. The little kids are about to, in 5 years, will enter high school and college. Then it's
you make such a great point there. I never thought of it that way, because I don't think of myself as old, and I think of them as young, but they're really not, because now they're up there. That is such an awesome point that you made right there. They're on their way out. Thank you.
And
because I kept saying we have to target the other ones coming up behind them, because they're the ones who are going to take the true creativity and all of this forward, because they're the ones that are watching the shows.
Yeah, and they're the ones who are going through a difficult time right now. All creativity comes from a difficult time, right? Art comes from a struggle. It doesn't come from an easy life.
Right.
We got our friend Supreme Heretic here. Welcome.
Hey.
Man, I liked your Facebook post with your lovely Battlestar Galactica ladies. I worked with one of them.
Yeah, brother. That was cool. I met them actually at a charity event back in 2013, and man, Cameron, they were probably both Katie and Trisha Helfer, two of the most down to earth people I met. It's like talking to your next door neighbor. It wasn't the typical like Hollywood elitism that you would expect out of people that perform in front of the camera. They were very, very down to earth, and it was awesome. And quick story about that, a lot of you guys know that I take care of Mom, and she's very sick, and she's dealing with leukemia and everything. I had called Mom from that event because she's a big Battlestar fan, and I was like, Mom, you'll never guess who I'm standing next to. I'm standing, right next to Katie Sackhoff. She's like right, like not even 3 feet away from me. And Katie was talking to somebody, and she had turned around and she said, because she and I had just been talking before she started talking to someone else, and she said, "Is that your mom?" I said, "Yeah," and she's like, "Here, let me see the phone." And I hand Katie the phone, and she says, "Hi, Mom." And she just talked to my mom for about 20 minutes. Wow. And, it was just wonderful because she made my mom's entire decade from that. Wow. And
Katie's that person. She's a really decent person. I work with a woman. She's a really good person.
Absolute sweetheart. And dude, I will go to the grave singing the praises of that lady. She's wonderful, wonderful people, man. And, and Trisha was too. Trisha was just outstanding. And
the amazing thing is Trisha is a really great actress. She's a stunningly beautiful woman. She was But I don't know her personally. I've had several friends who've worked with her, actually, Galactic and other shows, and they're like, this is a really, like you said, down to earth. She's aware that she's a lovely, attractive person, but it hadn't gone to her head, and she wants to be a good actress, and she trains to be a good actress. She doesn't want to just be the pretty face.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was awesome. That That was obviously my favorite brush with fame until, you know, years later I would meet you and, you
No,
know,
whatever. Don't put me on the level of Trisha Helfer.
and
Nobody knows who the hell I am.
and I met Script Doctor, you know, people like that.
Well, that's a celebrity. Okay, that's a real one.
I mean, you guys are my friends though. It's awesome, you know. But yeah, I'm just I'm happy I caught up with you too on Facebook because, dude, I was really pissed off what happened with Twitter.
I heard people were grumbling about it. I don't know because I can't see Twitter. I can't even see it, right? And so I've heard some people were grumbling that I was gone.
Dude, we were all mad because it's like, why was Cameron banned? Yeah, we were all asking like, why was he banned? What the hell?
Well,
you know, I was like, where the hell's Cameron?
And I just heard and I just heard Nancy talking about her experience with Twitter. Like, you know, they kicked her off. Like, what the hell for? You know, they're just targeting people for no apparent reason. If you say something that is just, you know, I don't know, common sense, and it's like anywhere like, you know, right of the narrative box, man, they'll kick you off if they feel like it.
Well, you know, because there is, aside from the fact I believe there are true believers inside Twitter who believe their purpose is to spread an ideology. They're mostly just drones who have a checklist of like a corporate drones of what they think is what the bosses want, and they do that. You know, the more sinister stuff is the ideologues behind it all who are trying to destroy culture, who are trying to destroy civilization and trying to destroy the family and trying to destroy our basic networks of human interaction, trying to make words have no meaning. I mean, it's literally an attack on the basis of civilization itself. And
dude, I've seen the James O'Keefe videos that he did about Google and about some of the stuff on Twitter. Man, you could tell these people.
Yeah, no, it's a sinister attack. That's an ideology meant to essentially deconstruct society and turn us into drones that are controlled by an elite. And sinister and conspiratorial as it sounds, if anyone studies the history of the Russian Revolution or the Chinese Revolution, you know, you're like, this has been done before on a massive scale. A small group of elites who mysteriously suddenly have a lot of money and weapons, and no one can ever figure out where did Mao Zedong get all these guns? Where did Lenin get all these guns? No one can quite figure that out, right? But somehow these random nobodies show up with massive amounts of money and weapons, and they take over society and reprogram it to a detriment.
Yeah, it's the same cycle, man. It's like Battlestar. All of this has happened before.
All happen again.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and we're going through it. And again, as I was saying to Nancy, our generation is going to have to be the ones that fix this mess, and we're not the generation that wanted to. We just want to be left alone.
There was some crazy leftist on Twitter, dude, and I would have paid money for you to have been there to see it, because there was some lady, you know, she was trying to tell me my opinion was wrong. And I'm like, look at what's going on around you. And she's like, well, I think you're an asshole. And I said, honey, I'm Generation X. We're the original assholes.
We're the assholes because we only want to speak the truth, because everyone ignored us. And so we spoke the truth because it didn't matter. Nobody cared what our opinions were, right? The boomers didn't care. They didn't care. They ran the world and they didn't care what our opinions were. So we just spoke the truth to them. Right. That's why the Breakfast Club is the movie of our generation. We're all those kids. And the point of that movie is, we all spoke truth to power, and we're all put in detention, and nobody wants to hear it. And we still manage, in the prison they put us in, we manage to have fun and grow as human beings more than the people that put us in the prison. And that's our legacy.
Hey, Nancy, Bear said you were looking for me the other day.
Nancy still there?
But this is the hands we're given. So use them and we're fighting to make a place worth fighting for.
Yeah. You know, all I'm doing now, guys, I'm just listening to 80s music. I've got a Sirius XM 80s channel. I do play that on my car. I play that in a loop.
Yeah, right on. I didn't know my mic was muted. I'm sitting there freaking talking. And
we didn't know. Yeah, sorry. We had no idea.
That's cool. I muted it myself. So, because I was doing something. But yeah, they even tried to like get me and Drew to fight each other. Somebody was telling me, oh, Drew's saying all this. I said, you know what? Drew has never said nothing to me until he says something nasty to me. You're lying. I'm like, why were they picking on me and Drew? We don't even like run in the same circle. But that's how desperate they were to stop my voice and his voice and whatever he was doing with, I believe it was, whatever. It's crazy. And it's like, whoa, do you have nothing better to do than start drama?
Doing the same thing with me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like,
they were doing the same thing with me, trying to get me to fight with Drew.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like
Drew's
that's gonna happen.
Supreme Heretic over here.
But you see, that's the thing with Generation X is you can't get us to fight each other. That's the point of the Breakfast Club, is that you've got all these people that don't get along, and yet they're united against the man who was like the teacher who put them in detention. You can't get us to turn on each other. We're all diverse people.
And I used to sit there and say to my parents, don't you see what's happening? If they keep you all fighting and all of this hatred, then you're not paying attention to what's really going on. Because if we paid attention to what's really going on, you could see that it is control. Go all the way back to Babylon and Samaria. It's the same thing. How do you control the people? Look, they're using the same shit.
Well,
you're going to keep your mouth shut. I said, I ain't ever going to keep my mouth shut. You ain't ever going to keep my mouth shut.
Well, the next thing, you know, they're well, you guys already know they're coming for free speech, you know,
right now,
and the next thing is they want to disarm the populace. That's coming too.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. You can't actually disarm the American populace. I mean, that's not actually physically possible. That's a death sentence. I mean, you're just not going to be able to do it. It's a delusion.
Well, I don't know, Cameron. You remember when they went in, you know, during Katrina and took people's guns? They really did do that.
Yeah, but again, that's one event where you have like a storm or whatever, people flooding, right? It's just the problem is this whole country. The great thing about this country, the saving grace, is that we're spread out so far and armed to the teeth. You could take out a city, you could take out an area, but word's going to spread real fast, right? And then people are not going to the next one.
I'm in Kentucky. Listen, I'm in Kentucky, but I'm from the West Coast. You try to come in here to Kentucky and take their guns. Oh yeah, I'd like to see. I want to pull up my chair and watch that happen, please.
The Japanese
people still stand up for their rights.
That happens.
I'm sorry. Well, I mean, look, the Japanese in World War II. In World War II, one of the generals, when one of the Japanese generals was planning Pearl Harbor, right? One of the generals, in response to him, said, "This is a really bad idea." And his quote was, "You know, are you crazy about attacking America? There is a rifle behind every blade of grass." Right? The Japanese have wonderful, iconic imagery. There's a rifle behind every blade of grass. That's 1941, right?
Right.
So that's the founders of this country saved us, not with the First Amendment, because we saw the First Amendment can be pulled. It's happening. They saved us with the Second Amendment, and that's and it does. You could try to end the Second Amendment. We've had 200 years to arm ourselves. It's actually something that can be done on a mass scale without. I remember seeing this map that made me laugh. I haven't downloaded it. It was a map of the United States, all the different regions, and it's like why you shouldn't conquer the United States or try to invade. So it was like, oh, this area, rednecks, this guys, allocate. You know, all these little. The only area that was like a go zone was like, you know, San Francisco and like Seattle. There's a little circle. Yeah, you could take this. It's not gonna be.
Well, it's like
you're gonna die.
The people that live in the Rust Belt steel towns, the people that live in the mountain areas, you know, they're gonna go and fortify themselves in those places.
They have arsenals. It's like,
Look, who's going to attack them? The soldiers aren't going to go and do this, right?
The people in Tennessee, man, they're the same way as
right. Yeah,
and the U.S. military is not on, in my opinion, even though there's been effort to make the U.S. military woke, it's not on board with this agenda. So I mean, who's going to implement this? Some crazy moron in L.A. or Seattle, calling for take away.
But nobody's taking into consideration the friggin' criminals also, they will be able to supply anybody who doesn't have a gun, who wants a gun, if it's taken away, because they know how to get the guns.
We're the masters of black market.
Yes.
I mean, you tried to take alcohol, and this whole country was filled with alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Dangerous criminal enterprise began. That's still because of the news today, right? The mob, and you're right. I mean, this is the one thing that because I see people on the right freaking out. They're going to take our guns, man. They can take one guy. They're not going to take the second guys.
No.
Dude.
You could also say, too, you can see a lot of people coming together now, too, that were not coming together before this. Yeah, because it didn't work in their favor.
Hey, Cameron, we got the original training, bro. We saw Red Dawn in '85. We know what's up.
Yeah. And they made that it's okay. But look, I mean, that's but funny as that Red Dawn is, there's truth to that, right? If you study Khrushchev and all that, that was their plan. If you study Khrushchev, the whole plan was, Khrushchev was very clear. He said, we're not going to invade you, man. You don't have to worry about nukes. We're not going to nuke you. We're going to subvert you from within culturally. It was very clear. We're going to send people to academia and into all these things, and they're going to raise your children the wrong way, and those children are going to vote people like us into power, which has happened to a certain degree, but has also caused a massive backlash, and ultimately the culturally destructive forces that we see in Star Wars and everything else are not sustainable. They simply don't have the ability to mobilize masses in support. Like, if you can't get these people to support Lucasfilm, that's why they have to pull the plug on Twitter from the top, because the bottom up support.
Brother, you bring up an excellent point, because there's an interview, and it's back from something like '82. There's a guy named Yuri Bezmenov. And if you go and watch that interview here on YouTube, man, it's crazy, because he tells you exactly how this is going to happen. The guy's a Russian defector that came over and was explaining all this, because he worked right in the government, so he knew. And he said, yeah, this is exactly what's happening, and right now it's actively going on.
It's I've
and it was even back then.
Yeah, I mean, and everything you predict, I've seen the video you're talking about. Everything you predicted was, I mean, this was the standard thing. I mean, we saw that, there was a Red Scare, but not everything in the Red Scare was false. There really was communist infiltration, right? I mean, as Nixon showed that, Nixon, we only hear about McCarthy, but Nixon actually was able to show that the communists had infiltrated the U.S. state. I mean, it was really happening, right? And so, I worked in China. I worked in communist China a few years ago. I worked in Beijing.
Wow.
Developed a TV show there based on the spy show Nikita that I worked on. And,
awesome.
And number one, I love the Chinese people. And
my God, yes.
Chinese government. I saw them. These are people that are trapped in a country. And I asked them, because their lives are sort of, our modern lockdown is basically China's day-to-day life, right?
Yes.
Control, like, you could literally, they're told what day of the week they're allowed to drive.
Wow.
So my people could only pick me up from the hotel certain days of the week, because they only had the pass for that day to get legally be allowed to drive, right? And so I asked them, why don't you guys just rise up? There's 1 billion of you against these clowns, these CCP clowns. You don't want these guys. You didn't ask for these guys. Mao was imposed on you. You didn't vote for this clown, right? And they said very clearly, going back to what you said earlier, they said, because Mao took away our guns in the 40s, right? Because Chinese, I mean, it's very rare to have gun ownership in China, right? And it's like, yeah, they know, because they disarmed us. They disarmed us when we didn't understand what was happening, and then they took all our weapons away. It's the same thing that the British would do in colonial India and colonial Palestine. They would go into these areas and they would disarm the local population so they could control them. And that's the Chinese population had just started getting sort of rifles and firearms in the general populace, and they invented gunpowder. But in the general populace, it wasn't that widespread in the 40s when the communists had taken over. It's not the same situation where it's where, like I got a buddy of mine, who's got he's got like 10 guns here in LA, right? And so I'm in LA, right? And so it's just like, he told me that his neighbors used to think he was a wacky gun nut until all the rioting happened last summer. And then they showed up at his house and they said, can we hide here if the rioters come to this neighborhood?
Right. Right. Yeah, you're a nut. You're a nut until people realize, hey, I better go over there because she can cook food out of nothing, or I don't know what to do. Yeah. Now we're not so crazy, are we?
Exactly. It's just like, my family members used to mock me for being a prepper, and like when all this stuff happened last year, I was like, well, I got food,
Right?
I got this stuff. I've got extra water. When like LA was being shut down during the riots and whatever, and the lockdowns had begun, and there was bread lines like communist, like in Romania, right? And I was like, well, I got some extra food, and I was like, I told you 5 years ago something like this is gonna happen, right?
Well, there's basic skills everybody needs to know, because if the shit hits the fan.
Hey, guys. Talk to you guys later. It's nice meeting you.
Hey, take care.
Hey, peace out, brother.
God bless, man.
God bless you.
Yeah, I mean,
Later,
you
man.
got to know. You obviously got to have water. You got to know where you
The
can
barter
get
system.
where you
Barter
can get
system,
water,
barter
right?
system.
That too.
Yes.
But you got to have seeds, and you got to understand how to emergency live off the land if you need to.
Yep.
And that's something that people, they don't take the time to research or anything else. I mean, even the most rudimentary, if you know where to plant seeds, how to plant seeds, you're fine. You're gonna keep yourself fed.
A friend of mine.
But look at these people were freaking out because, like, in the first week, because they couldn't get their hair cut. Really? Is that what you're really freaking out? Well, let me tell you something. It's going to get a lot worse. You better learn how to, if that's the least of your worries, all that riches that you have in your mansion and you feel like you're trapped. Well, let me tell you something. When the shit really hits the fan and you don't know how to survive, or your mentality is not like, well, I've got 4 packs of chicken, but I don't have any water. I can trade a pack of chicken for some water, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, the barter system, you never heard of it? No. Whoa, really? And that shocked me.
I have a friend of mine who is a film composer in LA, right? We're talking about film composers earlier in the broadcast. Right. And he's European. He's German. And I went to visit his house like 3 or 4 years ago. He's got a lovely house up in the hills. And I went there, and he showed me very proudly his chicken coop in the backyard of his very nice mansion there. And at the time, he said people are making fun of me. But I promise you, the fact that I have chickens and my own eggs, and it doesn't matter. And during all this crap, he's the only one who's like, I don't worry about food. I got chickens and eggs. I've had them for 5 years. Right. All this crap happened. So he was ahead of everybody. Another friend of mine, who's a filmmaker, director, just left LA and has moved to Virginia, and today sent me images of the farmland he has bought in Virginia.
Smart.
Now, he's got a stream with fish, fresh water. He's moving there. He's like, I left LA. I'm still going to make movies, but if I'm doing everything off of Zoom, I'm going to be on my farm. He's ahead of everyone else.
My friend just bought like 13 or some odd acres way up in Colorado. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to make films up there where you can still, with the technology, make films, and also use people in Belgium, people all over the world still, but they don't have to physically be there. That's the beauty of it. But yet still, if the shit goes down, we know how to friggin' make a fire. Hey, no matches, no lighter. Guess what? We know how to use the sticks. Yeah, it's really, I mean, that Girl Scout is coming in handy. That Boy Scouting comes in handy sometimes. But these people overlook that. They think, oh, well, she's crazy.
Well, those are extinct now, Nancy. They're not allowed to have a girl Boy Scout.
For now.
What?
Yeah, the Boy Scouts are now Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all gender neutral and whatever, and they're whatever. It is what it is. And I will say that all those institutions will resurrect in some form in the next generation.
Well, I hope so, because they were great learning things for me as a child. Wow.
The first thing, my dad, we immigrated from Pakistan when I was 3 years old. My dad raised in Pakistan, right? He did here. One of the first things he did when we arrived in New York City in 1976. I remember this. He took me to the Cub Scouts. He took me to the Cub Scouts. My father from Pakistan, from Karachi, Pakistan, said, because any immigrant who comes here with a plan, and his plan was to succeed in this new country, right? He and my mom suffered a lifetime of humiliation after coming here. I mean, they were like high-level, successful people in Pakistan and spent their lives jobs here so that I could succeed. But the first thing he did was Cub Scouts, right? And he said, you're going to learn how to be an American. That's the first thing he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's
I was a Cub Scout leader. So, I mean, Yeah, because I got involved with anything that my son wanted to do. I wanted to be right involved. So we were one of the first like women Cub Scout leaders. And I'll tell you what, that was the most amazing experience ever. And kudos to your parents, man,
Yeah, for real.
for doing that. That is like
See, that's why,
awesome.
but see, that's why
Oh
I
my
see
God.
sometimes a lot of the sort of more radical conversations we're seeing nowadays are about anti-immigrant stuff. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Bullshit.
Every immigrant I've ever met is a hardworking, conservative, family values, religious person who has no time for woke crap. So
That's right. Ain't nobody got time for that shit.
Yeah,
and
these people are
excuse me,
coming here because they wanna make money.
this whole
People
country
suffer.
was built on immigrants. So what the
Yeah, so I
frig?
just don't get that
I
narrative.
don't get it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man? I mean, you know, I just don't. I haven't met the guy who's coming here to get welfare. I've never met that guy.
Right. I would like to meet that person
I
too.
met the guy who was, a master's degree in Guatemala, who comes here and works in a gas station, right?
Right.
So his kid can go to college and works 3 jobs and never sees his kids. That's the person I've met. So I just don't know what you're talking about. But that's a whole other conversation.
Right. I know, but I totally agree with you. And believe
money
me,
back to his family. Yeah, that guy.
But the thing is, though, like, those institutions were so important because they taught valuable, not only good values but survival skills.
Absolutely.
And God, those are so needed right now.
But those all evolved.
Right, but they taught you how to think too.
Yeah.
They taught you how to think for yourself, and the way that I did it too was like, all right, I let them explore. The only thing I had a problem with is when the parents started to get involved. I had to put a brakes. Yeah, when it came to like the Derby Day, when the dads were taking the cars for the boys and tricking them out, I gathered them all up and I threw them away. And I said, "Come on, kids, you make your own cars."
Well, you know what I mean? All of those things, like the Cub Scouts, all that, they come out of the pioneering culture that founded this country. I mean, these were all practical. The Cub Scouts are just a ritualization of the practical skills that 10 generations of this country used to essentially settle this land and country.
But my point is, I could see how that they have been destroyed because I was coming. Well, I was in it right when all those millennial helicopter entitlement parents were bringing their kids in, and what their kids' attitude was compared to like the people I was hanging around, because I was older when I had my child, so I was an older boomer / X raising an X almost millennium child. So I was just, my kid's like my poor child, he's like caught in between too, but he's so well adjusted because I let him think for himself. I didn't sit there and say, "Oh, if you are good today, you'll get pizza." No, you're supposed to be good. I'm not going to reward you for something you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
I refused to do that. And I saw the infiltration of all the bullshit, of all the secret questions they were asking my kid. My kid came home one day and said, "My teacher's asking me if you and Daddy drink, if you and Daddy fight." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Where's the piece of paper?" "Oh, I'm not supposed to tell you." Whoa. I was down at that school. Yeah, they did not like me. I was questioning, what are you trying to tell my 8-year-old kid? You're asking my 8-year-old kid this? Why? "Oh, well, it's a survey we have to do." Well, excuse me. Where's the paper asking me permission for that? "Oh, we don't need your permission." What? I saw all that coming in. So now I see.
Yeah. My friend who I talk about, who bought this land, he's always been ahead of the curve of this stuff, right? And so, he's an example. He's a Libyan American filmmaker.
I'd love to meet him.
And he's brilliant. He's in Virginia now, and like again, he's the immigrant who's like a conservative, traditional American, right? And so, my friend, he was one of the reasons he left California. The event he told me about is, his son was going to public school. Probably last year, about 2 years ago, before all the lockdowns were. His son was going to public school, and then one day his son, who was like 8 or 9 years old, came home and was mouthing off and being rude. And so, my friend was like, "You can't talk to your father that way. I'll spank you, right?" And his son said, "Oh, if you touch me, I'm going to call the school and they're going to call the police on you, right?"
Right.
And so, and my friend, the next day when he heard that, my friend The next day, he pulled him out of the public school and took him to a religious private school. And the kid was like unhappy and like, I don't want to go. And it's just like, it's not a choice. If this school is telling you you can call the cops on parents, you're not here.
Right.
We're done. We're done.
We homeschooled, we private schooled. I did take him in and put him back in public school just for that social interaction to see what the world, you know, I wanted to make sure that you could like react to these people that you are being raised with. But now it just like all makes sense. Why all these entitlement 32-year-olds?
Yeah.
Well, hello. Look who they were raised by, because I saw those parents coming in trying to take over my troop. Oh, hell to the no. You don't know who you're messing with, number one. You know, no. These are kids. Well, they're not supposed to do that. What? Get their hands dirty? Oh, my gosh. You know, or get down and like rub sticks together to make fire? Oh, my gosh.
And in China, you're having people doing mass like Tai Chi and learning martial arts and having soldiers being super serum from like a Van Damme movie, right? And
Right.
And we're like, I mean, they're laughing at the adversary they're facing because again, the adversary isn't going to be that generation. It's going to be the rest of us with guns, right? That's the adversary they're scared of.
Right.
These kids.
Right. And I keep saying too, oh yeah, you should wait for us to be in those nursing homes. We'll have like fights on who's better, Led Zeppelin or Aerosmith, and we'll be fighting with our canes. Yeah, we are not the normal generation here. We're like the in-between, and we still got it. Like I said, hello, 58 years old, and I'm trying this whole new movie producing kids series, multimedia company with a friend that I grew up with from 1972, and he's a music producer, and we're just like, whoa, we still are rocking. Well, because if nobody's going to do anything, we're going to do something about it.
It's a generation in between. Remember, we talk about the boomers. Who's before the boomers? It's the greatest generation. I mean, it's these 20-year-old kids that stormed Normandy, right? And not just the kids that stormed Normandy. Who's in the greatest generation? Everyone, you know, we have these scummy politicians today. I don't have to agree with their politics, but you had everyone from George, you know, H.W. Bush, who's World War II, I'm going to get on a plane and jump out of a plane and go into. You had actors, you had actors. You had Clark Gable flew bombers in World War II.
Right.
While he was a
Thank you. Right. I mean, Ronald Reagan. Hello. You know what I mean?
So those are the interim generations that have courage that always lead to the next generation that are basically living off that courage and become losers.
Good point. Good. Whoa. Well said, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cameron's the man.
Well, I got a lot of passion. So I can't speak these on Twitter anymore. Darth, you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, and
Darth is making hand signals.
You can't hear me anymore.
No, we're little voices.
You're just roboting, dude.
Text me if you need something.
But I actually do need to head out.
You can't text me.
Is there any last thing you'd like me to talk about? Because I actually do. I went a bit longer than I expected. I do have to take care of some things. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before I take off?
Do you have a link that I could get a hold of you?
Well, you can just now I'm not on Twitter, so you can.
Well, obviously not on Twitter.
If you can, if you have Facebook, you can follow my name, Cameron Pasha, on Twitter. You'll see me. I have a website which is my name, CameronPasha.com. You can email me through there as well. The contact button goes to my email, and also my books and whatever that I publish, they're all available on that. So so if anyone wants to reach me at this point, I was not doing much on Facebook because that's my only and I've got Instagram, which is my name, Cameron Pasha 72.
Okay, I can
jumping on right now, and the lady jumps on just I'm about to take off. We had two ladies now, so Butterfly 93.
Butterflies.
That's Haster's better looking half.
Right.
Yeah.
At least you can communicate on his behalf.
But no, Cameron, I was gonna tell you, dude. I wrote a story today for Bounding, and I was writing about that Halo series, and because they're doing a TV show about the video game.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, okay.
And they already came out and said it's going to be politics heavy. Like, you're really going to go and tell the fans that already?
People making the decision, are they doing that for the PR purposes? They're doing that for the journalists. They're not doing that for the audience because the journalists are going to congratulate them, right? But it's not all those PR things are being done. It's not for the audience. Again, I said we've got 5 more years of this, and then I think we're done. I think we're done. I think the next 5 years we're going to watch essentially society's going to collapse. It began with the lockdowns last year. Society's going to collapse, entertainment's going to collapse, media is going to collapse, and we're going to rebuild. We are in a different way, but we're going through exactly what we went through in 1861 to 1865 and 1941 to 1945. We're going through essentially a reset of civilization where an old era is ending, and it's, so far, thank God, it hasn't been in the form of those kinds of wars in those 2 eras, but we're having an internal information war right now. And I believe by 2025, these bad ideas in this and these destructive sort of cultural Marxist elements will have destroyed themselves. I don't think they can sustain more than 5 years. They're already collapsing.
Yeah, I agree with you, brother. So, well, thanks, man.
Any last things to talk about? Thank you all. I appreciate it. Butterfly, do you have anything to say? I just met you and I'm leaving.
I'd say you did good and awesome, and keep it up, seriously. And you have a nice day. Night, whatever.
Dart, thank you so much. I hope next time I'm on your channel I can hear you properly. And we're not max headrooming. So I know you asked me some things. I never heard them. I heard blah, 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 and that's all I heard. So I wasn't able to answer them. So I apologize for that.
Yeah. Cameron, I'll get up with you on Facebook. We'll chit chat.
We'll talk. All right, guys. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. And
it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you. Thank you for all you've contributed.
Yes. 5 more years is crap. And then we're done. We're free. 5 years, we're out. Don't worry about it. We're good.
It could be a fun 5 years. It's going to be a fun 5 years for me. That's for sure.
All right,
How are you all? I'm working on my book.
I saw that you have been writing. I'm so look at you go, girl. That's my girl. That's my girl right there.
It's been a while that I didn't write because I couldn't find my story for a long time, and then I finally found it, and I'm going back to it. So
right on. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I can't wait for Chris and I to come up. And Drew, I'm sorry my mic was muted. I am trying to get a hold of you. I've been trying to get a hold of you. So I was trying to copy and paste my Twitter.
I'm still on Twitter, dear. Hopefully,
I know, but I had to change my Twitter, so it's a really weird one, and so I'm trying to copy and paste it in the private thing, but I can't get the pasty thing to work.
Pasties? Who's pasties?
It won't, because I'm on my phone. I'm not on my computer, so it won't paste it in there. Because it's like V, but then there's like this long ass number after it that they gave me. Yeah, for my handle. So, but I think it's on my YouTube. If you go all the way down, it's got my Facebook. I think it's got everything on there. But I might have changed that too. I'm not sure. So, anyways. I'll just you're still on Twitter. I think I'm still following you, so I'll DM you there. Are you on Discord?
Yeah, you can DM me on Twitter, sure, anytime.
Okay.
Man.
Okay, cool.
Anything.
I want to pick your brain on some stuff.
Yeah, anything you need, just hit me up. That's fine.
Right on, right on.
I mean, I have always respected you, and I like you. You know that.
Oh, honey, you know what? There is no one going to tell me no bullshit. You should know me by now. They could sit there and say all they want to say.
Well, yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, nah, not Nancy. I could sit there and play a dumb blonde really good, but I'm really a redhead. Okay.
Haster,
really.
Haster's loving the pasties joke. Let's see.
He's just really trying to work on the stripper pole, I think, still, right? And me and Captain, we get to go up because they're just like a couple hours away. So me and my friend, seriously, we're starting that whole Mars thing is like happening now. It's like happening. fast.
They don't live but a couple hours away from me too. Because
I was just gonna knock on their door and shock the shit out of them, but I'm like, that's kind of mean. I better give them a heads up because it is me coming. You know.
Yeah, I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from West Virginia, so
wow.
Because Ohio's right in the middle.
Oh, that's right. You're not too far from me because I'm down here in what part of Ohio? Oh, don't only say that because we're still white.
I'm about northern Ohio, in right smack dab in the middle between like Cedar Point and downtown Cleveland. So
okay.
So I'm right up there on Lake Erie. So I've got all the lovely up and down weather all year.
Yeah. Right there in that Ohio Valley, huh?
Oh no, we're right up on Lake Erie, so it's different. We get all the lake effect bullshit because
so you get not only all the allergies but the lake too.
Because it'll stir up rain, it'll stir up snow. If you want to see the shirt, Haster, here you go. Slipknot, buddy, for sure.
Ooh, who's got Slipknot? You do?
Yeah,
I love Slipknot.
Yep.
Oh, Nancy. I know you got Discord. I finished chapter 4 and 3. If you like to, you can read it on there.
Okay, I will.
Let you know.
Yeah.
I'm working on chapter I think 6 now. Yes, chapter 6.
Well, you just keep writing, honey, and just don't worry, and just don't let anybody discourage you, okay? And don't worry if you make a mistake or don't. You know how I write? I just go balls to the walls and I write, and then you know what I do? Hand it over to somebody else to edit it because I can't be bothered editing because I'm the one who's creating. You can put the periods there. I know grammar. I know how to edit, but I'm not going to edit my own stuff because it just doesn't work that way. Yeah, so just keep writing, write what you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to encourage you. Don't you let nobody tell you that you can't write or you can't do anything. Don't you listen to those lies ever.
Yeah, butterflies, when you get in a groove and you're writing, just like Nancy said, just go. Because that's the best way to go about it. Because even when you're separating into chapters,
right.
Even if you're not quite sure where to separate and go into another chapter, just go ahead and
put a line. You know what I do? Yeah. But I would put a line or a note, like, I don't know. Put side notes too. Put all your feelings and everything down on that paper. Because I'm telling you, girl, people and entities, even your own self, is going to tell you it sucks because we are our worst critics. That's why a lot of the times, that's why my shit's so off the wall, is because I don't edit it and it is all improv, as you want to say it. It's top of my head. That's why it's babbling bullshit. Seriously. And if I ever looked at one of my videos like I did, I started taking down my videos like, oh my God, see, because I'm my worst critic. And those are the ones that were getting like, I really can relate to that, or I really understand that. And I almost took that down and burnt it. See what I'm saying? So you have to look at it from the perspective that somebody else is going to benefit. And when you do that, it propels you more, because I'm telling you, you'll start to get in your own head, right, Drew? We start to get in our own head and we sabotage our shit.
I do that enough just writing, articles.
Email, right?
If I wrote a book, man, I would beat the hell out of myself.
Right.
Well, I'm writing a book now. It's right now I'm working on it. It's just sometimes I get stuck and sometimes I don't, depending. I bet you a lot
I'll
of
tell
people
you a good thing to do in the morning, and this is what's really helped me. Another writer, they're called morning pages. I call it garbage papers. But now, I call it babbling. First thing when I wake up is whatever is on my mind, I'll write down, I'll speak out, I'll record. It's not for anyone to hear or to post or even for you to look at ever again. It's to get all that bullshit that's in your head out, to make way for the creativity. You see what I'm saying? If you're thinking about,
Yeah.
oh, I got to do laundry, I got to do this, I got to do that, you don't have any room for that creativity. So
Right.
I will just go blah, 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 get all that diarrhea out. And then it's like, whoa, hey, I'm going to use this as my, and then you start writing. And then all that good stuff comes in. It
Right.
helps when you're stuck.
I've been writing a journal.
Yeah.
So about stuff that I have in my mind and just write it down. I've been doing that a lot.
That's good. It's good therapy.
That's a good way to go about it.
Yeah. And a lot of creative people have to do that because the normies don't get us. Seriously. Because we are out there a bit. In my case, far out there, okay? But I'm a lot older, so I've had a lot more practice at being weird, But I embrace. At first, I was like really, and like holding all that stuff in because I wanted to fit in with the normal people. And so I embraced my own self and said, you know what, though? This is what I was created to do. You cannot stop what you were created to do. Some were created to write music. Some were created to write books. Some were created to just be business people. We all have our little niche. Nobody's better than anyone. And when people can finally realize that they can embrace their true selves, everybody wants to be nowadays something else than they were created to be. And it drives me mad because why are you trying to be somebody that you're already perfect? You're already perfect the way you are. It's because of the other powers that be, that if we found out what our true energy and our true power was, we'd overthrow them, and they're scared of us. That's why.
Yep.
And that's why they try to keep us like in the Thorazine shuffle. Oh, well, you're bipolar, or you're this, or you're that. Now we're just creative.
Yep.
And they're scared of us.
Where did Darth go?
Well, he said he was
had
going
to
to
reboot it.
And I need to bounce out because I haven't eaten anything all day. I'm finally gonna cook something.
Yeah.
Excuse me, aren't you all day?
Huh?
Yeah. Don't make me pull the mom card out and smack you with it.
Oh no,
that is not healthy. That is not healthy for you, Drew. You cannot do that, and I know your circumstances. So, anyways, that's why I want to get a hold of you too. So. I'm going to DM you. You go eat something.
Yeah,
These men, they're men. They do that all the time to themselves.
I'm gonna make myself some tacos. I'm good.
I do that sometimes too, and don't realize it.
Yeah, you can't. I did it, and I almost died. Number 6.
Yeah, me too.
Without eating.
Yes,
that's a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yay! There he is.
All right, we're back. All right. In the words of Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Haster, and it was great seeing you again, Nancy, and we'll get up together
again, Drew, man.
Yeah, we'll get on Twitter and Butterflies. It's great to hear that you're writing. You keep it up.
Thank you.
Tell your mom hello and that we love her, and she's always in my meditation and prayers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Lots of prayers for your mama.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
And you have a nice day or night wherever you are.
Yep. I appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you soon.
Go eat.
Yep, that's what I'm about to do. All right.
Better.
All right.
Make us come up to Ohio.
I know,
you should go up there too. We'll have a big old get together barbecue. You should come up when Chris and I are coming up. That would be cool.
It's legit, like a couple hours away because Haster and I figured that out because we were, when he and I were last BSing on the phone. Yeah.
We want to go to that cemetery and check out that cemetery and do a live stream out of that cemetery while we're up there. That
Oh yeah.
What cemetery is
that'd
it?
be
Is it
freaking bitchin'.
haunted?
That
Yeah,
witch
it's where
cemetery
the
in
witch tree
Bridgeport.
was.
Yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Oh, me interested. I love
Yeah,
haunted
of
stuff.
course you're coming because we've got to keep these men from screaming.
Yeah, true. Gotta hold
Yeah.
them.
We're gonna have to make sure that they're not scared.
Baby.
All right. I'll yell at you later. See you.
Okay, later. We'll put a big stripper hole right in the middle where the tree was in practice. Sorry. When I see your face,
Wow.
we gotta talk about the stripper pole.
On that note,
That was good, Darth. And there he goes, poof. Oh, there he is. Well, that
bearded
beard grew back
one.
like fast and full. Is that real?
Yeah, that's real.
That
It's
grew
on
back
there.
fast.
Oh, he's a cutie pie. I love
Yeah.
you, honey.
But it grew back so fast.
Yeah,
I know, right?
It grows fast.
It's that mountain man blood. That's what it's.
Right? You can make money off that. Keep shaving it, sell it for like toupees, and just keep growing. If you paint it yellow, maybe Trump will buy one.
Oh wow!
Did I say that out
I
loud?
wasn't gonna.
Sorry.
Oh man!
Not sorry. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm like fully back. And it's caused by that green machine. Oh my gosh. Chris has turned me on to all this natural stuff. Look. How long ago was I like in bed dying again? 3 weeks, not being able to move. I was a skeleton when he got here, seriously on death row. And I've been drinking this green machine, which is all the vegetables and stuff. Like sometimes I can't eat. Oh my God, with a little bit of hemp, which no, it doesn't have any THC. But the OMG, the way I feel is like unbelievable. Like a new friggin' person. Yeah. It's awesome.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it
go
is crazy.
From a death door to hey, look at me, let's do some stuff.
Right? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I'm just like, no pain. My pain, all that sciatic. Well, I did fall out of the bed. I fell out of the bed the other night, flat on my back, and bam, my sciatica was gone. I'm like, I must have I don't know, but I still think it's because of all the nutrition that I'm putting in my body. Because for 3 weeks, it's kind of sad. I'm full of neighbors. Not one person checked on me. Every time I asked somebody to go do something, they were busy. And I was like, I could not move with the sciatica. I was all over my body. I could not. I had to crawl to the bathroom. I mean, that's how bad it was. Drinking tap water. Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
Boy, I wish this thing was working a lot better when Cameron Pasha was on. I feel kind of bad for the guy now. Like, I had to mime it up.
I think he understands, but your internet isn't. But look at my internet now. I just got Wi-Fi.
Oh, the internet's better. It's just, I think it's the USB getting overloaded. I think that's what it is because I got everything and its little sister plugged in here.
Right. How many tabs do you have open too? How many tabs do you have open?
Don't even get me started how many tabs I had up.
Well, shame on you.
Oh, I know.
That's probably why too many tabs open too, right? I don't know. I'm not IT. I'm not gonna wear that hat. I got enough hats.
Computer.
But he was awesome. That was awesome. I'm glad I tuned in because that was cool.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's been a year.
I can't believe it either.
It's been it was a year in January. The video game stream started.
Right.
But
because I remember Yeah, because
And
I remember
hello,
when I met you, I was
Crimson
chasing
Mist.
Sadie and I hit the wrong button, and all of a sudden I hear you talking about tentacles. I'm like, what are you doing? Because I was talking to Tex, so I wasn't even watching you play. And I was just telling Chris the other night, I said, but do you know what he did? He was explaining the game to me. I said, so you know what? Even if I was blind, I could totally picture what he was playing. And then when I saw you were playing Blood, right? Blood Rain, right?
Bloodborne.
Sorry, you know me with my verbiage.
Bloodborne.
Yeah, Bloodborne.
And
And then when I actually physically saw you playing it, I was like, wow, you described that so well. And I remember that's how we met. And that was like really fucking cool. Yeah. But I can't believe it's been that long. Oh, that's trippy. Look at all the stuff that's happened since then. I just went on your stream last night and saw all the people in your chat, and I was like, wow. I remember it was just me, Butterflies, and Lady Mist.
yeah,
He's
that's
growing,
it's been a
honey.
while back.
Mm-hmm. And you know why? Because you're a good person. You're a
Yes,
good-hearted
he
person.
is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Darth is a good person. He's a sweetheart. He's a kind person. I'm telling you, he'll do anything for anybody.
And he keeps his
mean,
cool too. I'm pleased.
yes.
We throw him a lot of shit, don't we? And he just keeps his cool, except for the wheezing and falling off the chair. But that's funny. But like, you don't blow up and get angry, you know, like some people do. I don't know who. It couldn't be me or anybody like that. But just saying, you know, you keep your cool, and I'm just like, fuck. I wish I could keep my cool like that. Ain't gonna ever happen. But you know, it would be cool to be able to like not show all my emotions all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep your cool. Yeah, you do that well.
Hey,
But
Darth Haster.
we know off screen
I'm just
you're
a
really
man.
doing the voodoo doll.
I'm just a man in a box. His awesome
Haster.
sauce. Yes.
Is Luna being a butthole
Yes, Butterfly.
today?
No.
Come again.
I think she's sleeping on the bed. I don't see she was on I don't see her now. She probably in the back room just chilling. I'd be sleeping in the back room. If I wasn't on here, I'd be sleeping in the back.
Watch me come home. She'll start running toward me. She'll hear me. She'd be waiting on that door, be like, Mommy's home.
Probably. Well, I'd like to. If Crimson Mist isn't coming back, you coming back, Crimson Mist, or are you? I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it was bad connection or what it was, but hit me up on Twitter or something. Let me know what's on, brother. Oh, you're working on it. Okay, I'll stall for a little bit then. So what are you? What is Is it Galaxia chapter 3?
Galaxia. Galexia. Galaxia.
I call it Galaxia, but it's whatever you want it to be because, well, you're the author.
I
Who might
can
tell you how
always.
it's spelled and how it's.
I think you just paused. What just happened? Hello?
I'm trying to get
Darth
Crimson Mist
Haster?
in here, see what's going on here. Let's see. There he is.
Okay.
Hello, Crimson Mist. How you doing, brother?
Pay no attention to the background noise. My daughter's playing Minecraft with her friends.
Well, I've had worse.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have a good connection here or not. Am I sounding broken?
Sounds good.
What?
It sounds pretty good over here.
Oh, okay. Must be everybody else then. How's things going?
Oh, doing good.
We are doing good.
Yeah, I was sad to see Nancy. I haven't talked to
You've
her in a
been
long
doing
time.
these panels. Well, she could have stayed up here. We have Lady Miss holding it down in the chat there.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Lady
Looks like
Miss
speaker
is
for the
working
band
that
is-
void wrench tonight. Hello, speaker. And good evening. The link is on the top pinned if you want to come up in and say hello to everybody.
So what's this about a graveyard and
We're gonna see if we've been talking about the we did paranormal stuff during October. We were gonna try to get together and go to the witch graveyard to see if we can find any scary stuff going on, because they say that place is haunted. So we're gonna check that out.
the witch graveyard? Where's that at?
It's about a couple towns away from me.
Oh, okay. So it's way off to in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be a little too far for me to go. Besides, I got other things coming up here for me if everything goes well.
Yeah, you're like Utah, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm way out west.
Not the doctor or anything.
Hey, Crimson.
Hey, Nancy, how's it going? Hope you're feeling better.
Good. How you been, Crimson? Well, I missed,
day-to-day as
because
usual.
I'm on my, look, I've got like a laptop and a desktop now, and I'm still on my friggin' phone. Okay. You asked me why. I don't know.
Wow.
So I didn't see the chat, and I wanted to make sure that I said hi to somebody because he said hi to me. That's why I dipped for a minute. But how's your stuff going? You've been on my mind a lot lately, Crimson, with your podcasts and stuff.
Well, I've kind of cut back on going on YouTube and such, and and as far as content goes, I've just been doing straight up mixes. I try to do a unusual show because I am also a minister for the Church of the Subgenius.
Okay.
But then,
that sounds interesting. Yeah.
But then I got interrupted by life
Oh
during
shit!
my
It
show,
always happens,
which
huh?
really pissed me off, and I just
Mhm.
so now I'm
Mhm.
having to rethink. And I
Mhm.
think it's about how I'm doing things, and I think I need to make my own studio, one that's
Ooh, awesome.
and I talked a
Yes.
little bit about it to my wife, and
Uh-huh.
so I'm gonna see if I can clean out the closet and see if I can turn that into an actual studio.
Well, if you need any help, I physically have Captain Chris in my possession. So my whole house is now a studio, which he's been producing music and podcasts for over 20 years. So if you need any advice or maybe some help, just don't hesitate to ask. Free of charge, of course. Yeah.
Well, I've been looking into how to soundproof it. So I think what I need is soundproof blankets to put on the door. So that
we used egg crates too when I soundproofed my garage when they were the band was practicing. Egg crates work also.
Egg crates are amazing for soundproofing.
Yeah.
But not only will this be a studio, it'll also I want to put up my stuff finally because I don't have anything of mine in my house, and I need to do a lot of cleaning. So and I need to also do a few other things too. One thing I want to do is get in something to use with my show, and that is a DDJ controller.
Okay.
which is basically it looks like a deck, like a turntable deck, but
Okay.
it's compact and you can hook it up to your computer and you can
It's
do
a
spins.
digital record scratcher.
Yeah,
I know what it is.
nephew.
Yeah.
My nephew has a really nice one that he bought for like $1,400 bucks.
Mhm.
Mine is more down on the budget range, but it's still I want to get it to that it's very nice and will work with the DJ software I use.
I used
Awesome.
to lug equipment. I used to lug equipment for a DJ friend of mine, and I've been around with him for a couple gigs. I know the equipment very well.
Really? I didn't know that. That's another notch in your belt there, dude. Oh, well, we're going to have to use you for that too, Darth. You've got a lot of hats to put it on you.
There is a reason. I used to say on when I used to be in Belmont, I used to say I'm a jack of all trades, master of none.
But you're master of all. Change that wording because you are master of all. Yep. Throwing another hat at you.
Crawling faster. Obey your master.
Oh, yeah. No, you ain't a master like that,
Your
Haster.
sanity burns faster.
No, that's my job.
Oh, yeah.
Remember who the witch is. No, I'm just kidding. And really, seriously, I'm just kidding. Gosh, disclosure, please. We don't want that one yet now, do we? That's why I want to go to the cemetery. I want to go see my mama. Joke. It was a joke. I know. I'm trying to break
that's why
out
I'm
of the
laughing.
sarcasm.
Hey, nothing wrong
I
with
really
going
am trying to
graveyards.
break out of the sarcasm, and it's I'm doing better, but I still have it, and it's not good.
Hey, graveyards are a nice place to go and relax, have a picnic.
I know.
Especially at sunset.
Mm.
It's quiet.
the
Nobody
graveyard up
bothers
here.
you if you're in a graveyard.
Oh,
Unless
and
they're
there's
really
Frankfurt?
like in Petrol.
As long as
Right.
nobody don't disappear.
Well, here's something else too. There's a graveyard right near my old alma mater, and during the summer at sunset, the deer come down to graze and drink the waters around, and it's a sight to behold. And so you see like a doe and her fawn come down with them. Yeah, there was another. Also, years ago, I was surveying a cemetery, and there was a big hill, and up on top was like this elk that had like 8 or 9 spot that like a 9-horn on his antler.
Wow.
And it was just something. So okay, I'm done here.
You're so cute. I'm dead here. I'm never, and that's another thing to look out. I was good tonight. I didn't take over.
Oh, and another thing too, the cemetery that I was telling you about also has mausoleums dedicated to families. So,
the one here has what's his face? Boone is buried here, and it's on a hilltop, and you can overlook the
Daniel
city.
Boone.
Yes, and it's an old cemetery and a lot of Civil War people. It's neat to just look through the friggin' the headstones and stuff. Yeah, peaceful and quiet. Nobody chases you like they did in Glendale. Me and Dee, they chased us to the cemetery, but that's when we were getting stoned in the cemetery. So was it real? Or were we high? I believe we were high, so I believe it was unreal. You know what I'm saying? You have to separate that reality there too. Did we really see what we saw? It was freaky, but yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
when you break into the cemetery at night, expect to be chased by the people who are protecting the cemetery at night. Duh.
Where'd you park the squad car there, Dick Tracy?
Well, I got my own TikTok, okay? Listen to this. I decided to sing a little bit on there. Well, I had people
Yeah.
making fun of me.
What?
Yeah, saying it was funny, I'm dead and all that. And I'm like, really? I said, I know I'm not a best singer, but I said to them, I know I'm not a best singer, but it doesn't give you right to make fun of me. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you,
Well,
though. I love you all.
no, I'm gonna go back because you're friends with me on TikTok now. And I haven't been on there. I think I just like took the app off my phone. I'm gonna put it back on. No bullshit. No, somebody bullying you. Let me at them. Oh, of course, I would, not call them out in public or anything like that, would I? Huh. Nobody disses my family. No, I'm pissed.
Yeah,
How dare
and
they?
I called them out on it, though. They didn't say nothing back to me.
Huh. Okay. They say it again. Never mind. I'll just ghost you on Twitter and on TikTok. How dare they? See, that's what I'm going to keep my mouth shut now. Well, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Well, I think it's about time to hang it up. Does anybody want to plug anything?
Alrighty, yeah.
Okay.
Night.
Nighty night.
Good night.
Crimson, you want to plug your channel or?
Oh yeah, tomorrow I got a show around 9 a.m. not 9 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on radioconfluence.com. By the way, July 16th and 17th, me and my friends are planning on getting together in southern Minnesota for a little rendezvous. So,
Ooh. Make sure you link it up on my Discord, please.
Okay, well,
yeah,
I'll see what I can do. I don't even know if I'll be able to go because I've never been there, and there are some other issues going. Like my daughter wants to go to California this summer, so I'll have to wait and see how everything shakes up. But I will but just in case, I'll put up the link on your Discord.
Yeah, but definitely for tomorrow too. Make sure that you link it up, on mine and Hauser's Discord there, because then I can spread it more.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely put
care.
it on Discord. Later, Gator. Nancy, you got anything?
Who,
Oh,
Nancy?
me? Yeah.
Yeah, Nancy.
Well, of course I do. I always have something. So I've been in hiatus for a minute, but Babbling Bullshit's going to continue pretty soon, and also because I've been wrapped up in the Kid Millennium Mars City project, which is like flying along. We need illustrators, and as you know, Darth is involved also with this project, and so is Butterflies, and so I'm hoping to turn Babbling Bullshit into more of a interview. So I'd like to start interviewing other people on the show and not have it so much random and crazy. I'm trying to actually
kind of like what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah, I wanted to start interviewing, so I asked Bear if he would come on so I can interview him, and Darth and Crimson,
cool.
I'd love to have you on. Yeah, and interview, just shoot the shit, and not have it so just random. And also I have another channel that is just dedicated to Mars City Media, which is the company that is producing Kid Millennium Mars City, which is a multimedia type of story, which I am very confusing on it for a reason.
Wait.
Yeah, you say it, Darth.
What? Jedi Bill, the link is up top pinned. Come up here and tell me what's going on, brother. What is going on? Jedi Bill,
What? What's going
if
on?
you're there, come up here and tell me what's going on. Because with this comment, what happened? Just real quick. The comment is the link is pinned up top in the pinned comments. Jedi Bill 797, you're wanted. Jedi Bill 797, you are wanted on the panel. Report to the panel.
Maybe he don't want to talk about it.
Well, I work
That's
with Clobber in
understandable.
time. I kind of want an explanation.
Who is March
What
City?
happened? I'll do the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Hello,
That's
Jedi
the second
Bill.
one I saw.
What is going on, brother? What happened?
What happened? He died.
Yeah, tell me.
He lost his battle with cancer.
Oh no. I don't know him, but wow.
Clobbering times.
Yeah, I've never really, I mean, I know of him, but not him, you know. Wow.
Times.
It's all over Loki's Discord.
Shit.
I found out through my...
Lots of prayers for his family.
Yes.
Yes, prayers for his family. He was a good man. A member of
of the community. I'm watching your show and I'm here. I'm seeing all these notifications come in. I'm like, what? What? I didn't even know the man was sick. Yeah.
So the clobbering times.
Mark, see, I don't know for sure. It's all over Loki's Discord.
I'll see what's going on.
And a lot of people have mentioned stuff, and because I knew of him and I watched his channel a lot. So I think that's what they're saying, but I'm not sure. I don't. Is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out, Lady Mist. Let me.
I hope. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. I was just reading into it. I just and having issues here. Setting up my own stream for later. And I was blown away by all the notifications of this, Loki's Discord is blowing up.
I'm trying to get into. Hey, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. That means I haven't. So, wow. We're gonna find out.
In the meantime, we should put some music on. I'm kidding. It was a joke.
Why don't you say something, butterfly?
Hello.
In a world.
How you doing, butterflies?
I'm doing good. What about you guys?
Okay.
Hey Darth.
Yeah, what's up?
I was really thinking of, like, since you got a channel and you're going up, I really want to make my own channel and I want to go up like that. I just gotta figure out what I want to do.
You should totally do that.
I do. It's just I gotta get I gotta get something, a camera or whatever, because I've been wanting to do art, show people my art, and do art and
you can do
stuff like that.
I've seen HD cameras from Amazon as low as $35. And you can get them. You can get a whole package, the mic and for different various prices.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've been wanting to have a computer too and do like YouTube and stuff. I really want to start doing it, but I don't know when I want to start it.
There's obituary. Age 47. Died March 10th.
It's young.
Wow, this is a mind. Wow. Then he was real adamant in the chats. Well, I just saw him in the chat room on Clobber and Times' channel yesterday. He was real adamant in the chats and real interactive with everybody. Wow. Prayers for his family.
Yeah.
Prayers for everyone around who knew him better. I know a lot of people in Valhalla knew him rather well. I didn't know him as well as I should have. But what I did know, he was a cool guy.
Oh, sorry, I got my
no
messages wrong. I read that so briefly. It's like they put the word in there, and I didn't read it all. It was just. So I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, Jedi Bill, we're about to close. I know you're going on here in a few minutes. You wanna You want to do some promoting?
Oh yeah, I'll be doing the Insomniac Soup stream here in a bit. In less than 20 minutes. Be going live. Just
Cheddar.
talk and hang out. I always shoot from the hip. I don't usually, sometimes I try to have topics. Other times I don't. Most of the time, most of the times I don't.
I'll be trying to have more topics and trying to keep subjects going and questions. See if we can maybe get any more interview types like this going on, like we did here with Cameron Pasha. If you guys like that sort of thing, I'll keep it going. If that format's better. I mean, I kind of like the whole do the 1 hour interview and question panel, and then open it up to the rest of the chat panel. I kind of like this method. This is working a lot better, I think, and it seems a lot smoother, and it feels more. It's definitely more shoot at the hip, but it's fun. And it keeps it fresh, and it keeps the conversation fresh. Yeah, Lady Mist, I'm right there with you. It is sad.
Yeah, lots and lots of prayers, please.
We lost a good man of the community.
Yeah. Oh, and before we go, Darth.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell everybody that do not, just in case anybody that is in Discord that did not hear this from me, I wrote my chapter 4 already on Discord on Galaxa. If you want to read it, you can read it because I've done the chapter 3 and chapter 4. If you guys want to read it, and please enjoy.
Well, if you want to put it in my Discord, you can. Like, chapter 1 through 4.
3 and 4. Okay.
1 through 4, if you want. I don't think you any of Galaxy in my Discord. Yeah, Lady Miss, there will be gameplay. Oh yes, there will be gameplay. With lots of blood. Oh yes, there will be blood.
I like to do some gameplay with you, Darth.
Speaking of gameplay, I believe that Contra has a couch co-op. I think we could actually play some Contra Core couch co-op.
I'm off this weekend. Can we do it this weekend?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yes! Sounds so much fun. I'm ready for this.
And we'll stream it. How does that sound?
Yeah, it's even funner.
Yeah. Good times.
You guys probably will hear me cussing sometime too if I,
As long as you're having fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes me worry too, Lady Mist. But prayers for the ones who have fallen, prayers for the families that are still among us, and prayer for the ones that have to keep the torch going.
Yep.
And keep the light alight. Because as far as going in the fandom, and I'll stop until these franchises or die trying. On that note, stay awesome, stay safe. For the Lovecraft enthusiasts, stay eldritch. And for the Star Wars fans out there, may the Force be with you always. Live long and prosper. All that fandom jazz. Have a great night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in this world. Darth Hester out.